All right. All right, we're going to start with Sirach chapter 1. And yet, all you readers, just so you know, one chapter at a time, and we'll keep moving. Okay. All wisdom comes from Yahuwah and is with him forever. Who may number the sand of the sea and the drops of rain and the days of eternity? Who may search out the height of the Shamayim and the breadth of the earth and the deep and wisdom? Wisdom has been created before all, and the understanding of insight from everlasting. The word of Elohim Most High is the fountain of wisdom, and her ways are everlasting commands. To whom has the root of wisdom been revealed, and who has known her wise counsels? Unto whom has the knowledge of wisdom been made manifest, and who has understood her great experience? There is one wise and greatly to be revered, Yahuwah, sitting upon his throne. He created her and saw her and measured her. He poured her out upon all his works. She is with all flesh according to his gift, and he has given her to those who love him. The reverence of Yahuwah is esteem and splendor and gladness, and a crown of rejoicing. The reverence of Yahuwah makes a glad heart, and gives joy and gladness in a long life. It shall go well to the end for he who reveres Yahuwah, and he shall find favor in the day of his death. To revere Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, and it was created with the trustworthiness in the womb. She has built an everlasting foundation with men, and she shall continue with their seed. To revere Yahuwah is fullness of wisdom, and fills men with her fruits. She fills all their house with that which is desirable, and the gatherers with her increase. The reverence of Yahuwah is a crown of wisdom, making peace and perfect health to flourish, both of which are gifts of Elohim, and it increases the rejoicing of those that love him. Wisdom rains down skill and knowledge of understanding, and exalts to esteem those who hold her fast. The root of wisdom is to revere Yahuwah, and the branches thereof are long life. The reverence of Yahuwah drives away sins, and where it is present, it turns away wrath. A wrathful man cannot be declared right, for the sway of his wrath shall be his destruction. A patient man shall weep for a time, and afterwards joy shall spring up in him. He shall hold his words for a time, and the lips of many shall declare his wisdom. The parables of knowledge are in the treasures of wisdom, but reverence is an abomination to a sinner. If you desire wisdom, guard the commands, and Yahuwah shall give her to you. For the reverence of Yahuwah is wisdom and instruction, and belief and meekness are his delight. Do not doubt the reverence of Yahuwah when you are poor, and do not come to him with a double mind. Do not be a hypocrite in the sight of men, and take heed what you speak. Do not exalt yourself, lest you fall, and bring shame upon yourself. And so Elohim uncover your secrets and throw you down in the midst of the assembly, because you did not come in truth to the reverence of Yahuwah, but your heart is full of deceit.
Chapter 3. This is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3. Hear me, your father, O children, and do accordingly, that you may be safe. For Yahweh has given the father esteem over the children, and has confirmed the authority of the mother over the sons. Whoever esteems his father makes an atonement for his sins, and he who esteems his mother is as one who stores up treasure. Whoever esteems his father shall have joy from his own children, and when he makes his prayer, he shall be heard. He who esteems his father shall have a long life, and he who is obedient to Yahweh, all shall be comforted to his mother. He who reveres Yahuwah shall esteem his father, and shall do the service of his parents as to his masters. Esteem your father and mother, both in word and deed, that a barakah may come upon you from them. For the barakah of your father establishes the houses of children, But the curse of the mother roots out foundations. Do not rejoice in the shame of your father, for your father's shame is no esteem unto you. For the esteem of a man is from the esteem of the father, and a mother is shame in shame. A mother in shame is a reproach to the children. My son, help your father in his age, and do not grieve him as long as he lives. And if his understanding fails, have patience with him, and do not despise him when you are in your full strength. For the relief of your father shall not be forgotten, and instead of sin it shall be added to build you up in the day of your affliction. It shall be remembered. Your sins also shall melt away as ice in the fair warm weather. He who forsakes his father is as a blasphemer, and he who displeases his mother is cursed of Elohim. My son, go on with your business in meekness, so you shall be beloved of him who approves. The greater you are, the more you humble yourself, and you shall find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high places and of name, but mysteries are revealed to the meek. For the power of Yahuwah is great, and he is esteemed by the lowly. Do not search out that which is too hard for you, neither seek that which is above your strength. But what is commanded, think upon with reverence, with reverence. For it is not necessary for you to see with your eyes that which is secret. Do not be curious in unnecessary matters, for more is revealed to you than men understand. For many are deceived by their own worthless opinion, and evil suspicion has overthrown their judgment. Without eyes there is no light. Do not profess the knowledge which you do not have. A stubborn heart shall suffer evil in the end, and he who loves danger shall perish in it. A hard heart shall be loaded with sorrows, and the wicked man shall heap sin upon it. In the punishment of the proud there is no remedy, for the plant of wickedness has taken root in him. The heart of the clever shall understand a parable, and attentive ears is the desire of a wise man. Water shall quench a flaming fire, and kind deeds make an atonement for sin. And he who repays good deeds remembers that which may come after, and when he falls, he shall find a support.
So we missed chapter 2. I'm going to read it, and then we'll jump to 4 for the next person. And there's probably a reason. My son, if you come to serve, prepare your being for trial. Prepare your heart and constantly endure. Do not hasten in time of trouble. Cling to him and do not depart, that you may be increased at your latter end. Whosoever is brought upon you, accept cheerfully, and be patient when you are brought low. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Believe in him, and he shall help you. Establish your way and trust in him. You who revere Yahuwah, wait for his kindness, and do not turn aside lest you fall. You who revere Yahuwah, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. You who revere Yahuwah have expectancy for good, and for everlasting joy and kindness. Look at the generations of old and see, did anyone ever trust in Yahuwah and were put to shame? Or did any remain in his reverence and were forsaken? Or who did he ever despise that called upon him? For Yahuwah is full of compassion and kindness, patient and very tender-hearted, and forgives sins, and saves in time of affliction. Woe to the fearful hearts and faint hands, and to the sinner who goes two ways. Woe unto he who is faint-hearted, for he is unbelieving. Therefore he shall not be defended. Woe unto you that have lost patience. And what shall I do when Yahuwah shall punish you? Those who Yahuwah shall not disobey his word, and those who shall love and guard his ways, those who revere Yahuwah seek that which is well-pleasing to him, and those who love him shall be filled with the Torah. Those who revere prepare Yahuwah their hearts, and humble their beings in his sight, saying, we shall fall into the hands of Yahuwah and into the hands of men, for his excellence is so is his kindness. Praise Yahuwah.
Make sure it's pointed towards your face.
Okay. Chapter 4.
Yep. Praise Yahweh.
Sirach, chapter 4. My son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes to wait long. Make not a hungry soul sorrowful, neither provoke a man in his distress. Add not more trouble to a heart that is vexed, and defer not to give to him that is in need. Reject not the supplication of the afflicted, neither turn away your face from a poor man. Turn not away your eye from the needy, and give him none occasion to curse you. For if he curses you in the bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him. Get yourself the love of the assembly, and bow your head to a great man. Let it not grieve you to bow down your ear to the poor, and give him a friendly answer with meekness. Deliver him that suffers wrong from the hand of the oppressor, and be not faint-hearted when you sit in judgment. Be as a father unto the fatherless. And instead of a man under their mother, so shall you be as the son of El Elyon. And he shall love you more than your mother does. Wisdom exalts her children, and lays hold of them that seek her. He that loves her loves life, and they that seek her early shall be filled with joy. He that holds her fast shall inherit glory, and wheresoever she enters, Yahweh will bless her. They that serve her shall minister to the Holy One, and them that love Yahweh loves. Or rather, and them that love her Yahweh loves. Whoso gives ear unto her shall judge the nations, and he that attends unto her shall dwell securely. If a man commits himself unto her, he shall inherit her, and his generation shall hold her in possession. For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, until she may trust his soul, and try him by the Torah, by her Torah. Then will she return the straight way unto him, and comfort him, and show him her secrets. But if he goes wrong, she will forsake him, and give him over to his own ruin. Observe the opportunity, and beware of evil, and be not ashamed when it concerns your soul. For there is a shame that brings sin, and there is a shame which is glory and grace. Accept no person against your soul, and let not the reverence of any man cause you to fall. And refrain not to speak when there is occasion to do good, and hide not your wisdom in her beauty. For by speech wisdom shall be known, and learning by the word of the tongue. In no wise speak against the truth, but be abashed of the error of your ignorance. Be not ashamed to confess your sins, and force not the course of the river. Make not yourself an underling to a foolish man, neither accept the person of the mighty. Strive for the truth unto death, and Yahweh shall fight for you. Be not hasty in your tongue, and in your deeds slack and remiss. Be not as a lion in your house, nor frantic among your servants. Let not your hand be stretched out to receive, and shut when you should repay. Praise Yahuwah.
Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 5. Do not lay your heart upon your goods, and do not say, I have enough for my life. Do not follow your own mind in strength, to walk in the ways of your heart, and do not say, who shall control me in my deeds? For Yahweh shall surely punish your pride. Do not say, I have sinned, and what harm has befallen me? For Yahweh is patient. He shall by no means let you go. Concerning atonement, do not be without reverence to add sin unto sin, and do not say his kindness is great. He shall be appeased for the multitude of my sins. For kindness and wrath come from him, and his wrath rests upon sinners. Do not delay to turn to Yahweh, and do not put off from day to day. For suddenly the wrath of Yahweh shall come forth, and in your security you shall be destroyed, and perish in the day of vengeance. Do not lay your heart upon goods acquired unrighteously, for they shall not profit you in the day of calamity. Do not winnow with every wind, and do not go into every way. Yeah, no, for sure. Got you, man. For so does the sinner that has a double tongue. Be steadfast in your understanding, and let your word be the same. Be swift to hear, and let your being be sincere, and give an answer with patience. If you have understanding, answer your neighbor. If not, put your hand over your mouth. Esteem and shame is in speech, and the tongue of man is his downfall. Do not be a whisper, and do not lie in wait with your tongue. For foul shame is upon the thief, and an evil condemnation upon the double-tongued. Do not be ignorant of any matter, great or a small.
Chapter 6. Do not become an enemy instead of a friend, for you shall inherit an evil name, shame, and reproach, even as a sinner that has a double tongue. Do not exalt yourself in the counsel of your own heart, that your being be not torn in pieces as a bull. You shall consume your leaves and lose your fruit, and leave yourself as a dry tree. A wicked being shall destroy he who possesses, and shall cause him to be laughed to scorn by his enemies. Sweet words shall multiply friends, and a favorable tongue shall increase kind greetings. Be at peace with many, but have just one counselor in 1,000. If you would get a friend, prove him first, and do not be hasty to trust him. For a certain man is a friend for his own occasion, and shall not remain in the day of your trouble. And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity, shall cause strife and uncover your reproach. Again, there is a friend, a companion at the table, but shall not continue in the day of your affliction. When you are prosperous, he shall be as you are, and shall be bold over your servants. If you are brought low, he shall be against you, and shall hide himself from your face. Separate yourself from your enemies, and be on guard with your friends. A trustworthy friend is a strong defense, and he who has found such a one has found a treasure. There is none that makes up for a trustworthy friend, and his worth is invaluable. A trustworthy friend is the healing of life, and those who revere Yahuwah shall find him. Whoever reveres Yahuwah directs his friendship well, for as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. My son, gather instruction from your youth onward, so you shall gain wisdom till your old age. Come to her as one that plows and sows, and waits for her good fruit. For you shall not toil much in laboring over her, but you should eat of her fruit soon enough. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He who is without understanding shall not remain with her. She shall lay upon him as a mighty stone of trial, and he shall throw her from him before long. For wisdom is according to her name, and she is not revealed to many. Listen, my son, receive my advice, and do not refuse my counsel, and put your feet into her shackles, and your neck into her chain. Bow down your shoulder, and bear her, and do not be grieved with her bonds. Come to her with your whole heart, and guard her ways with all your strength. Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto you. And when you have taken hold of her, do not let her go. For in the end you shall find her rest, and that shall turn out for your joy. Then her shackles shall be a strong defense for you, and her chains a robe of esteem. For there is a golden ornament upon her, and her bands are purple lace. You shall put her on as a robe of esteem, and shall lay her upon you as a crown of joy. My son, if you allow, you shall be taught, and if you apply your mind, you shall be clever. If you love to listen, you shall receive understanding, and if you bow your ear, you shall be wise. Stand in the group of the elders and cling to he who is wise. Be willing to hear every worthy discourse, and do not let the parables of understanding escape you. And if you see a man of understanding, get yourself to him early, and let your feet wear out his doorstep. Let your mind be upon the laws of Yahuwah, and consider his commandments continually. He shall establish your heart and give you the wisdom you desire.
Chapter 7. Do no evil, so no harm shall come to you. Depart from the unrighteous, and the evil shall turn away from you. My son, do not sow upon the furrows of unrighteousness, and you shall not reap them sevenfold. Do not seek superiority from Yahweh, neither of the royal seat of the esteem. Do not declare yourself right before Yahuwah, and do not boast of your wisdom before the sovereign. Do not seek the judge, being unable to remove evil, lest at any time you be partial to the mighty, a stumbling block in the way of your unrighteous. Do not cause the crowd of a city to stumble, and then you shall not be brought low among the people, and then you shall not be brought low among the people. Do not bind one sin upon another, for not one shall go unpunished. Do not say, Elohim shall look upon the multitude of my offerings, and when I offer to the Most High, Elohim, he shall accept it. Do not be faint-hearted when you make your prayer, and do not neglect to give in kindness. Mock no man in the bitterness of his being, for there is one who humbles and exalts. And do not plan a lie against your brother, neither do likewise to your friend. Refuse to make any manner of lie, for the way of this is not good. Do not use many words among a multitude of elders, and do not make much babbling when you pray. Do not hate laborious work. Do not hate laborious work, neither work of the land, which the Most High has ordained. Do not number yourself among the crowd of sinners, but remember that wrath shall not delay. Humble yourself greatly, for the punishment of the wicked is fire and worms. Do not exchange a friend for goods by any means, neither a trustworthy brother for the gold of Ophir. Do not forsake a wise and good woman, for her favor is above gold. When your servant works trustworthily, do not mistreat him, nor the hired man that gives himself completely for you. Let your being love a good servant, and do not withhold his freedom. Do not have cattle, keep an eye on them. Do you have cattle? ? Keep an eye on them. And if they are for your profit, keep them with you. Do you have children? Instruct them, and bow their neck from their youth. Do you have daughters? Look after their body, and do not be too generous toward them. Give your daughters in marriage, and you shall have performed a weightier matter. But give her to a man of understanding. Do you have a wife in mind? Do not forsake her, and do not give yourself over to an easy woman. Esteem your father with your whole heart, and do not forget the sorrows of your mother. Remember that you were brought forth by them. And how would you repay them what they have done for you? Revere Yahuwah with all your being and revere his Kohanim. Love him who made you with all your strength, and do not forsake his servants. Revere Yahuwah and honor the Kohen, and give him his portion as it is commanded you, the first fruits, and the guilt offering, and the wave offering, and the Kodesh offering, and the first fruits of Kodesha. And stretch out your hand to the poor, that your barakah may be perfected. A gift has favor in the sight of every living man, and do not hold back for the dead. Do not fail to accompany those who weep and mourn, and those who mourn. Do not be slow to visit the sick, for that shall cause you to be loved. Whatever you take in hand, remember the end, and you shall never do wrong.
Sirach, chapter 8. Strive not with mighty men, lest you fall into his hands. Be not at variance with a rich man, lest he overweigh you. For gold has destroyed many and perverted the hearts of kings. Strive not with a man that is full of tongue, and heap not wood upon his fire. Jest not with a rude man, lest your ancestors be disgraced. Reproach not a man that turns from his sin, but remember that we are all worthy of punishment. Dishonor not a man in his old age, for even some of us wax old. Rejoice not over your greatest enemy being dead, but remember that we all die. Despise not the discourse of the wise, but acquaint yourself with their proverbs. For of them you shall learn Torah, and how to serve great men with ease. Miss not the discourse of the elders, for they also learned of their fathers, and of them you shall learn understanding, and to give answer as need requires. Kindle not the coals of a sinner, lest you be burnt with the flame of his fire. Rise not up in anger at the presence of an injurious person, lest he lie in wait to entrap you in your words. Lend not unto him that is mightier than yourselves rather. For if you lend him, count it but loss. Be not surety above your power, for if you be surety, take care to pay it. Go not to law with a judge, for they will judge for him according to his honor. Travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto you, for he will do according to all his own will, and you shall perish with him through his folly. Strive not with an angry man, and go not with him into a solitary place, for blood is as nothing in his sight, and where there is no help, he will overthrow you. Consult not with a fool, for he cannot keep counsel. Do no secret thing before a stranger, for you know not what he will bring forth. Open your heart to every man, lest he requite you with a shrewd turn.
Sirach 9. Be not jealous over the woman of your bosom, and teach her not an evil lesson against yourself. Give not your soul unto a woman to set her foot upon your substance. Meet not with a harlot, lest you fall into her snares. Use not much the company of a woman that is a singer, lest you be taken with her attempts. Gaze not on a maid, that you fall not by those things that are precious in her. Give not your soul unto harlots, that you lose not your inheritance. Look not around you in the streets of the city, neither wander in the solitary place thereof. Turn away your eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another's beauty, for many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman, for herewith love is kindled as a fire. Sit not at all with another man's woman, nor sit down with her in your arms, and spend not your money with her at the wine, lest your heart incline unto her, and so through your desire you fall into destruction. Forsake not an old friend, for the new is not comparable to him. A new friend is as new wine. When it is old, you shall drink it with pleasure. Envy not the glory of a sinner, for you know not what his end shall be. Delight not in the thing that the wicked have pleasure in, but remember they shall not go unpunished unto their grave. Keep far from the man that has power to kill, so shall you not doubt the fear of death. And if you come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away your life presently. Remember that you go into the midst of snares, and that you walk upon the battlements of the city. As near as you can, guess at your neighbor, and consult with the wise. Let your talk be with the wise, and all your communication in the Torah of El Elyon. And let just men eat and drink with you, and let your glorying be in the fear of Yahuwah. For the hand of the artificer the work shall be commended, and the wise ruler of the people for his speech. A man of an ill tongue is dangerous in his city, and he that is rash in his talk shall be hated.
A wise judge shall instruct his people, and the reign of a clever man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of a man the ruler of the city is, such are those who dwell in it. An unwise sovereign destroys his people, but through the insight of those who are in authority the city shall be inhabited. The power of the earth is in the hand of Yahuwah, and in due time he shall appoint it to one who is worthy. The prosperity of a man is in the hand of Elohim, and he shall lay his esteem upon the face of the scribe. Do not bear hatred against your neighbor for every wrong, and do not act as an insulter at all. Pride is hateful before Elohim and man, and against both one commits wickedness. Because of unrighteous dealings, maltreatment, and wealth gained by deceit, the rule is transferred from one people to another. How could the earth be ashes? How could earth and ashes be proud? There is none more wicked than a covetous man, for such a one puts his own being up for sale. For while he lives, he destroys his inner being. The physician ends a long disease, and he who is a sovereign today shall die tomorrow. For when a man is dead, he shall inherit insects, creatures, and worms. The beginning of pride is when one departs from Elohim, and his heart is turned away from his Maker. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he who has it shall pour out abominations. And therefore Yahuwah brings upon them an unknown calamity and overthrows them completely. Yahuwah has thrown down the thrones of proud princes and appointed the meek to their place. Yahuwah has plucked up the rocks of the proud nations and planted lowly in their place. Yahuwah overthrew the lands of the Gentiles and destroyed them to the foundations of the earth. He took some of them away and destroyed them, and he has caused their remembrance to cease from the earth. Pride was not made for man, nor violent wrath for those who are born of a woman. Those who revere Yahuwah are a continual seed, and those who love him an esteemed plant. Those who disregard the law are a shameful seed. Those who transgress the commands are a deceptive seed. Among brothers, he who is chief is esteemed. So are those who revere Yahuwah in his eyes. The reverence of Yahuwah goes before the obtaining of authority, but stubbornness and pride is the loss of it. Whether he is wealthy, noble, or poor, the esteem is the reverence of Yahuwah. It is not right to despise the poor who has understanding. Neither is it proper to exalt a sinner. Great men and judges, rulers, and shall be esteemed, yet there is none greater than he who reveres Yahuwah. Those who are free shall do service to the servant that is wise. He who has knowledge shall not grumble when he is instructed. Do not be overwise in doing your business, and do not boast in the time of your distress. Better is he who labors and all overflows in it, than he who boasts and lacks bread. My son, esteem your being in meekness, and give it respect according to its quality. Who shall declare right he who sins against his own being? And who shall esteem he who shames his own life? The poor man is esteemed for his skill, and the wealthy man is esteemed for his wealth. He who is esteemed in poverty, how much more in wealth? And he who is ashamed in wealth, how much more in poverty? Praise Yah.
Sirach 11. Wisdom lifts up the head of he who is of low degree, and makes him to sit among great men. Do not commend a man for his good looks, neither despise a man for his outward appearance. The bee is little among those that fly, but her fruit is the first of that which is sweet. Do not boast of your garments and clothes, and do not exalt yourself in the day of esteem. For the works of Yahweh are wondrous, and his works among men are hidden. Many sovereigns have sat down on the ground, and one that was never considered has worn the crown. Many mighty men have been greatly shamed, and those esteemed delivered into other men's hands. Do not accuse before you have examined the truth. Understand first, and then reprove. Do not answer before you have heard the case, neither interrupt men in the middle of speaking. Do not strive in a matter that does not concern you, and do not sit in judgment with sinners. My son, do not engage in many matters, for if you strive greatly, you shall not be innocent, and if you pursue, you shall not obtain, neither shall you escape by fleeing. There is one who labors and struggles and hurries, and is so much more behind. Again, there is another that is slow and needs help, lacking skill and full of poverty. Yet the eye of Yahweh looks upon him for good, and raises him up from his humiliation, and lifts his head from misery, so that many see his peace over all of this. Prosperity and adversity, life and death, poverty and wealth come from Yahweh. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the law are of Yahweh. Love and the way of good works are from him. Sin and darkness had their beginning together with sinners, and evil shall grow old with those who boast in them. The gift of Yahweh remains with the righteous, and his favor brings peace forever. There is he who grows wealthy by his cunning and frugality, and this is the portion of his reward. For he says, I have found rest, and now shall eat continually of my goods. And yet he does not know what event shall come upon him, and that he must leave those to others and die. Be steadfast in your agreement, and be acquainted with it, and grow old in your work. Do not marvel at the works of sinners, but trust in Yahweh and continue in your labor. For it is light in the eyes of Yahweh to suddenly make a poor man wealthy. The barakah of Yahweh is in the reward of the reverent, and suddenly he makes his barakah flourish. Do not say, what profit is there of my service, and what good shall I have afterwards? Again, do not say, I have enough and possess much, and what evil shall come to me afterward? In the day of good there is a forgetfulness of affliction, and in the day of affliction there is no remembrance of good. For it is light for Yahweh to reward a man according to his ways on the day of death. The affliction of an hour makes a man forget pleasure, and in the end his deeds shall be exposed. Judge none, Baruch, before his death. For a man shall be known in his children. Do not bring every man into your house, for the deceitful man has many schemes. As a partridge take care in a cage, as a partridge taken in a cage, so is the heart of the proud. And as a spy he watches for your fall, for he lies in wait and turns good into evil. And in that which is worthy of praise shall accuse you. From a spark of fire a heap of coals is kindled, and a sinful man lays in wait for blood. Take heed of an evildoer, for he works wickedness. Lest he bring upon you an everlasting stain. Receive a stranger into your house, and he shall disturb you and turn you out of your own.
Let's see. We better be in 12. Okay. Chapter 12. Hallelujah. Yahuwah. When you do good, know to whom you do it, so you shall be thanked for your good works. Do good to the upright, and you shall find a recompense. And if not from him, even from the Most High. No good shall come to he who has always corrupted with evil, nor to him who does no kind deed. Give to the upright man, and do not help a sinner. Do good to he who is lowly, but do not give to the wicked. Withhold your bread, and do not give it to him, lest he overthrow you by it. For you shall receive twice as much as evil for all the good you have done to him. For the Most High hates sinners, and shall repay the wicked with retribution. He keeps them for the great day of their punishment. Give to the good, and do not help the sinner. A friend cannot be known in good times, and an enemy cannot be hidden in adversary. In the poverty of man, enemies shall be grieved, but in the adversary, even a friend shall turn away. Never trust your enemy, for as iron rusts, so is his wickedness. Though he humbles himself and comes bowed down, yet be on your guard and beware of him, and be to him as you had wiped a mirror, and you shall know him that is tarnished has been wiped away altogether. Do not put him near you, lest when he has overthrown you, he stands in your place. Neither let him sit at your right hand, lest he seek to take your seat, and you remember my words in the end, and be pierced by them. Who shall pity a charmer that is bitten by a serpent, or any who come near wild beasts? So one that goes to a sinner and is defiled by him in his sins, who shall pity? For a while he shall remain with you, but if you begin to fail, he shall not wait. An enemy speaks sweetly with his lips, but his heart the images how to throw you into a pit. He weeps with his eyes, but if he finds opportunity, he shall not be satisfied with the blood. If adversary come upon you, you shall find him there first, and though he pretends to help you, even so he shall wrong you. He shall shake his head and clap his hands, and whisper much and change his face.
He who touches pitch shall be defiled therewith. He that has fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him. Burden not yourself beyond your power while you live, and have no fellowship with one that is mightier and richer than yourself. For how agree the kettle and the earthen pot together? For if the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken. The rich man has done wrong, and yet he threatens withal. The poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. If you be for his profit, he will use you. But if you have nothing, he will forsake you. If you have anything, he will live with you. Yea, he will make you bear, and will not be sorry for it. If he has need of you, he will deceive you, and smile upon you, and put you in hope. He will speak to you fair, and say, what do you want? And he will shame you by his meats, until he has drawn you dry twice or thrice, and at the last he will laugh you to scorn. Afterwards, when he sees you, he will forsake you and shake his head at you. Beware that you be not deceived and brought down in your jollity. If you be invited of a mighty man, withdraw yourself, and so much the more will he invite you. Press not upon him, lest you be put back. Stand not far off, lest you be forgotten. Affect not to be made equal unto him in talk, and believe not his many words. For with much communication will he tempt you, and smiling upon you will he get out your secrets. But cruelly he will lay up your words, and will not spare to do you hurt and to put you in prison. Observe and take good heed, for you walk in peril of your overthrowing. When you hear these things, awake in your sleep. Love Yahweh all your life and call upon him for your Yeshua. Every beast loves his own kind, and every man loves his neighbor. All flesh consorts according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. What fellowship has the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the righteous. What agreement is there between the hyena and a dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor? As the wild ass and the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. As the proud hate humility, so does the rich abhor the poor. A rich man beginning to fall is held up of his friends, but a poor man being down is thrust away by his friends. When a rich man is fallen, he has many helpers. He speaks things not to be spoken, and yet men justify him. The poor man slipped, and yet they rebuked him too. He spoke wisely and could have no place. When a rich man speaks, every man holds his tongue. And look what he says. They extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speaks, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumbles, they will help to overthrow him. Riches are good unto him that has no sin, and poverty is evil in the mouth of the wicked. The heart of a man changes his countenance, whether it be for good or evil, and a merry heart makes a cheerful countenance. A cheerful countenance is a sign of a heart that is in prosperity, and the finding out of parables is a wearisome labor of the mind.
Blessed is the man that has not slipped with his mouth and is not pricked with the multitude of sins. Blessed is he whose conscience has not condemned him and who is not fallen from the hope in Yahweh. Riches are not comely for him who is ungenerous, and what should an envious man do with money? He that gathers by defrauding his own soul gathers for others that shall spend his goods riotously. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. There is none worse than he that envies himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. And if he does good, he does it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. The envious man has a wicked eye. He turns away his face and despises men. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the iniquity of the wicked dries up his soul. A wicked eye envies his bread, and he is ungenerous at his table. My son, according to your ability, do good to yourself and give Yahweh his due offering. Remember that death will not be long in coming, and that the covenant of Sheol is not showed unto you. Do good unto your friend before you die, and according to your ability stretch out your hand and give it to him. Defraud not yourself of the good day, and let not the part of a good desire overpass you. Shall you not leave your travails unto another, and your labors to be divided by lot? Give and take, and sanctify your soul, for there is no seeking of dainties in Sheol. All flesh waxes old as a garment, for the covenant from the beginning is, you shall die the death. As of the green leaves on a thick tree, some fall and some grow, so is the generation of flesh and blood. One comes to an end and another is born. Every work rots and consumes away, and the worker thereof shall go withal. Blessed is the man that meditates good things in wisdom, and that reasons of holy things by his understanding. He that considers her ways in his heart shall also have understanding in her secrets. Go after her as one that traces, and lie in wait in her ways. He that pries in at her windows shall also hearken at her doors. He that lodges near her house shall also fasten a pin in her walls. He shall pitch his tent nigh unto her, and shall lodge in a lodging where good things are. He shall set his children under her shelter, and shall lodge under her branches. By her he shall be covered from heat, and in her glory shall he dwell.
Sirach 15. He that fears Yahuwah will do good, and he that has the knowledge of the Torah shall obtain her. And as a mother shall she meet him, and receive him as a woman married of a virgin. With the bread of understanding shall she feed him, and give him the water of wisdom to drink. He shall be stayed upon her, and shall not be moved, shall rely upon her, and shall not be confounded. She shall exalt him above his neighbors, and in the midst of the assembly shall she open his mouth. He shall find joy and a crown of gladness, and she shall cause him to inherit an everlasting name. But foolish men shall not attain unto her, and sinners shall not see her. For she is far from pride, and men that are liars cannot remember her. Praise is not seemly in the mouth of a sinner, for it was not sent him of Yahuwah. For praise shall be uttered in wisdom, and Yahuwah will prosper it. Say not, it is through Yahuwah that I fell away, for you ought not to do the things that he hates. Say not, he has caused me to err, for he has no need of the sinful man. Yahuwah hates all abomination, and they that fear Elohim love it not. He himself made man from the beginning, and left him in the hand of his counsel. If you will, to guard the commandments, and to perform acceptable faithfulness. He has set fire and water before you. Stretch forth your hand unto whether you will. Before man is life and death, and whether him like shall be given to him. For the wisdom of Yahuwah is great, and he is mighty in power, and beholds all things. And his eyes are upon them that fear him, and knows every work of man. He has commanded no man to do wickedly, neither has he given any man license to sin. Hallelujah.
Sirach 16. Do not desire a great number of worthless children, neither delight in wicked sons. Though they increase, do not rejoice in them, unless the reverence of Yahuwah is with them. Do not trust them living, neither regard their great number. For one that is righteous is better than 1,000, and it is better to die without children than to have those who are wicked. For by one has understanding the city been fulfilled, but the offspring of the wicked shall be quickly laid waste. Many such matters I have seen with my eyes, and my ear has heard greater than these. In the assembly of the wicked, fire shall be kindled, and in a rebellious nation wrath is lit on fire. He was not appeased toward the giants of old, who fell in the strength of their foolishness. Neither did he spare the place of where Lot was sojourned, but loathed them for their pride. He had no compassion for the people of destruction, who were taken away in their sins, nor the 600,000 foot soldiers, for who were gathered together in the hardness of their hearts. And if there is one stiff neck among the people, it is marvel if he escapes unpunished, for kindness and wrath are with him. He is mighty to forgive and to pour out his displeasure. His kindness is great, so is his discipline also. He judges a man according to his works. The sinner shall not escape with his plunder, and the patience of the righteous shall not be defeated. Make room for every act of kindness, for everyone shall receive according to his works. Yahuwah hardened Pharaoh that he should not know him, that his mighty works might be known to the world. His kindness is revealed to every creature, and he has separated his light from the darkness and is unbreakable. Do not say, I shall hide myself from Yahuwah. Shall I remember me from above? I shall not be remembered among so many people. For what is my being among such limitless number of creatures? See the Shamayim and the Shamayim of the Shamayim. The deep of the earth and all that is in it shall be moved at his visitation. The mountains and foundations of the earth shall also be shaken with trembling. When he looks upon them, no heart may think upon these worthily. And he who is able to perceive his ways is a whirlwind that no man sees. For most of his works are hidden. For who shall declare the works of his righteousness? Or who shall endure them? For his decree is far off, and the trial of all is at the end. He who lacks understanding shall think upon emptiness, and a foolish man straying plots foolishness. My son, listen to me and learn knowledge, and know my words in your heart. I shall present instruction by measure, and declare his knowledge exactly. The works of Yahuwah are done in right ruling from the beginning, and from the time he made them, he laid out their parts. He decorated his works forever, and his hand are the beginning of them to all generations. They neither labor nor are weary nor cease from their works. None of them withholds another, and they never disobey his word. After this, Yahuwah looked upon the earth and filled it with his Birakoth. He has covered the face of it with all manner of living creatures, and they shall return to it again. Praise Yah.
Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 17. Yahweh created man from the earth and returns him to it again. He gave them few days and a short time, and also authority over that within it. He gave them strength within themselves, and made them according to his image, and put the fear of man upon all flesh, and gave him rule over beasts and birds. They received the use of the 5 senses of Yahweh, and in the 6th place he gave them understanding, and in the 7th speech, an interpreter of the thoughts, counsel and a tongue, and eyes and ears and a heart. He gave them to understand. He filled them with the knowledge of understanding and showed them good and evil. He put his eye on their hearts, that he might show them the greatness of his works. He appointed them to boast in his marvelous deeds forever, that they might declare his works with understanding, and the elect shall praise his Kodesh name. Besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of high for an inheritance. He made an everlasting covenant with them and gave them his right rulings. Their eyes saw the excellence of his esteem, and their ears heard his esteemed voice. And he said to them, beware of all unrighteousness. And he gave every man command concerning his neighbor. Their ways are ever before him, and shall not be hid from his eyes. Every man from his youth is given to evil, neither could they make hearts of flesh for themselves from stony. For in the division of the nations of the whole earth he appointed a ruler over every people. Yisrael is the portion of Yahweh, whom being his firstborn he nourishes with discipline, and giving him the light of his love does not forsake him. Therefore all their works are as the sun before him, and his eyes are continually upon their ways. None of their unrighteous deeds are hid from him, but all their sins are before Yahweh. But Yahweh, showing favor and knowing his workmanship, neither left nor forsook them, but spared them. The kind deeds of a man are as a signet with him, and he shall guard the good deeds of the man as the apple of his eye, and give repentance to his sons and daughters. Afterwards he shall rise up and reward them, and render their recompense upon their heads. And to those who repent he provides a return, and comforts those whose expectancy is failing. Return to Yahweh and leave your sins. Make your prayer before his grace and be guiltless. Turn again to the Most High and turn away from wickedness. For he shall lead you out of darkness and into the light of peace, and intensely hate your abominations. Who shall praise the Most High in his grave, except for those who live and give thanks? Thanksgiving perishes from the dead, as from one who is not. The living and perfect in heart shall praise Yahweh. How great is the kindness of Yahweh our Elohim, and his compassion to those who turn him into Kodeshah. For not all is within man, for the Son of Man is not incorruptible. What is brighter than the sun, yet its light fails? So flesh and blood shall imagine evil. He views the power of the height of the Shamayim, and all men are but and dust and ashes.
Shalom, shalom. We are reading the book of Ecclesiasticus, Sirach 18. If you want to join in, there are empty seats. Just hop in, read a chapter each, if you feel led. He that lives forever has created all things in general. Yahweh only is righteous, and there is none other but he. Who governs the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will. For he is the King of all, by his power dividing holy things among them from profane. To whom has he given power to declare his works, and who shall find out his noble acts? Who shall number the strength of his majesty, and who shall also tell out his mercies? As for the wondrous works of Yahweh, there may nothing be taken from them, neither may anything be put unto them, neither can the ground of them be found out. When a man has done, then he begins, and when he leaves off, then shall be doubtful. What is man, and whereto serves he? What is his good, and what is his evil? The number of a man's days at the most are 100 years. As a drop of water unto the sea, and a gravel stone in comparison of a sand, so are 1,000 years to the days of eternity. Therefore is Elohim patient with them, and pours forth his mercy upon them. He saw and perceived their end to be evil, therefore he multiplied his compassion. The mercy of man is toward his neighbor, but the mercy of Yahweh is upon all flesh. He reproves and nurtures, and teaches and brings again, as a shepherd his flock. He has mercy on them that receive discipline, and that diligently seek after his judgments. My son, blemish not your good deeds, neither use uncomfortable words when you give anything. Shall not the dew assuage the heat? So is a word better than a gift. Lo, is not a word better than a gift? But both are with a gracious man. A fool will upbraid churlishly, and a gift of the envious consumes the eyes. Learn before you speak, and use psychic or ever be sick. Before judgment, examine yourself, and in the day of visitation you shall find mercy. Humble yourselves before you be sick, and in time of sins show repentance. Let nothing hinder you to pray your vow in due time, and defer not until death to be justified. Before you pray, prepare yourself, and be not as one that tempts Yahweh. Think upon the wrath that shall be at the end, and the time of vengeance, when he shall turn away his face. When you have enough, remember the time of hunger, and when you are rich, think upon poverty and need. From the morning unto the evening, the time is changed, and all things are soon done before Yahweh. A wise man will fear in everything. In the day of sinning, he will be aware of offense, but a fool will not observe time. Every man of understanding knows wisdom, and will give praise unto him that found her. They that were of understanding in sayings became also wise themselves, and poured forth exquisite parables. Go not after your lusts, but refrain yourselves from your appetites. If you give your soul the desires that please her, she will make you a laughing stock to your enemies that malign you. Take not pleasure in much good cheer, neither be tied to the expense thereof. Be not made a beggar by banqueting upon borrowing. When you have nothing in your purse, for you shall lie in wait for your own life and be talked on.
Okay. We on 20 or 19? Okay. The wind blew again. Praise Yah. A laborer that is given to drunkenness shall not be wealthy, and he who despises small matters shall fall little by little. Wine and women shall cause men of understanding to fall away, and he who clings to whores shall become hardened. Moths and worms shall have him to inherit, and behold, a man shall be taken away. He who is hasty to give credit is light-minded, and he who sins corrupts his own being. Whoever takes pleasure in wickedness shall be condemned, but he who resists pleasure crowns his high. He who rules his tongue shall live without strife, and he who hates gossip shall have less evil. Do not repeat to another that which is told to you, and you shall not suffer harm. Whether to a friend or an enemy, do not speak of another's life. And if you may, without offense, do not reveal them. For if he hears and sees you, so in time to come he shall hate you. If you have heard a word, let it die with you, and be brave, it shall not burst you. A fool struggles with a word, as a woman in labor with a child. As an arrow that sticks in a man's thigh, so is a word inside a fool. Admonish a friend, it may be he has not done it, and if he has done it, that he does it no more. Admonish your friend, it may be he has not said it, and if he has, that he does not speak it again. Admonish a friend, for many times it is slander, and do not believe every whisper. There is one that slips his speech, but not from his heart, and who is he who has not offended with his tongue? Admonish your neighbor before you threaten him. And not having wrath, give place to the law of the Most High. The reverence of Yahweh is the beginning of acceptance, and wisdom obtains his love. The knowledge of the commands of Yahweh is the instruction of high. And those who do not and do that which pleases him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. The reverence of Yahuwah is complete wisdom, and in all wisdom is the doing of the law. In the law or in the knowledge of his mightiness, if a servant says to his master, I shall not do as it pleases you, though after he does it, he angers him who feeds him. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, nor at any time is the insight of the counsel of sinners. There is a wickedness, and such is an abomination. And there is a fool lacking in wisdom. He who has little understanding and reveres Elohim is better than one who has much wisdom and transgresses the law of the Most High. There is a delicate craftiness, and the same is unrighteousness. And there is one that turns aside to make judgment appear, and there is a wise man that speaks rightly in judgment. There is a wicked man that bows his head sadly, but inwardly he is full of deceit, casting down his face and making as if he did not hear. Where he is unknown, he shall do you evil before you are aware. And if for need of power he may cease from sinning, Yet when he finds opportunity, he shall do evil. A man shall be known by his appearance, and one that has understanding by his face when you meet him. A man's dress, excessive laughter, and walk reveal what is.
Chapter 20. There is a reproof that is not proper. Again, some man holds his tongue, and he is wise. It is much better to reprove than to be wroth secretly, and he who confesses his wrong shall be preserved from harm. How good is it when you are reproved to show repentance? For so you shall escape deliberate sin. As is the lust of a eunuch to defile a maiden, so is he who executes judgment with violence. There is one that keeps silent and is found wise, and another by much babbling becomes hated. Some man holds his tongue because he has no answer, and some keep silent, knowing his time. A wise man shall hold his tongue till he sees opportunity, but a babbler and a fool shall regard no time. He who uses many words shall be loathed, and he who takes authority for himself in this shall be hated. There is a sinner that has good success in evil, and there is a gain that turns to loss. There is a gift that shall not profit you, and there is a gift whose recompense is double. There is he who is shamed because of esteem, and there he who lifts up his head from a low estate. There is he who buys much for a little, but repays it sevenfold. A wise man by his words makes him beloved, but the favors of fools shall be poured out. The gift of a fool shall do you no good when you have it, nor that of the greedy by necessity. For he looks to receive much for one. He gives little and insults greatly. He opens his mouth as an accuser. Today he lends it, and tomorrow he shall ask it again. Such a one is to be hated of Elohim and man. The fool says, I have no friends. I have no thanks for all my good deeds, and those who eat my bread speak evil of me. How often and by how many shall he be mocked? For he does not know what it is to have, and it is all the same to him as if he did not have. To slip upon a pavement is better than to slip with the tongue. So shall the fall of the wicked come speedily. An untimely word shall always be in the mouth of the unwise. A wise word shall be rejected when it comes from the mouth of a fool, for he shall not speak it in its season. There is he who is hindered from sinning through poverty, and when he takes rest, he is not troubled. There is he who destroys his own being through shame, and overthrows himself by showing partiality. There is he who promises to his friend from shame, and makes him his enemy for naught. A lie is an unclean stain within a man, yet it is continually in the mouth of the unlearned. A thief is better than a man who is known to lie, but they shall both inherit destruction. The way of a liar is humiliation, and his shame is ever with him. With his words a wise man shall promote himself to esteem, and he who has understanding shall please great men. He who tills his land shall increase his heap, and he who pleases great men shall receive pardon for wrong. Presents and bribes blind the eyes of the wise and stop up his mouth so he cannot reprove. Wisdom that is hidden and treasure that is hoarded up, what profit is there in either? Better is he who hides his folly than a man who hides his wisdom. Enduring patience and seeking Yahuwah is better than he who leads his life without a guide.
Ecclesiastes 21. My son, have you sinned? Do so no more, but ask pardon for your former sins. Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent, for if you come too near it, it will bite you. The teeth thereof are as the teeth of a lion, slaying the souls of men. All iniquity is a two-edged sword, the wounds whereof cannot be healed. To terrify and do wrong will waste riches. Thus the house of proud men shall be made desolate. A prayer out of a poor man's mouth reaches to the ears of Elohim, and his judgment comes speedily. He hates to be reproved is in the way of sinners, but he that fears Yahweh will repent from his heart. An eloquent man is known far and near, but a man of understanding knows when he slips. He that builds his house with other men's money is like one that gathers him stones for the tomb of his burial. The assembly of the wicked is like tow wrapped together, and the end of them is a flame of fire to destroy them. The way of sinners is made plain with stones, but at the end there is the pit of Sheol. He that keeps the Torah of Yahweh gets understanding thereof, and the perfection of the fear of Yahweh is wisdom. He that is not wise will not be taught, but there is a wisdom which multiplies bitterness. The knowledge of a wise man shall abound like a flood, and his counsel is like a pure fountain of life. The inner parts of a fool are like a broken vessel, and he will hold no knowledge as long as he lives. If a skillful man hears a wise word, he will condemn it and add unto it, commend it and add unto it. But as soon as one of no understanding hears it, it displeases him, and he casts it behind his back. The talking of a fool is like a burden in the way, but grace shall be found in the lips of the wise. They inquire at the mouth of the wise man in the assembly, and they shall ponder his words in their heart. As is a house that is destroyed, so is wisdom to a fool, and the knowledge of the unwise is a talk without sense. Doctrine unto fools is as fetters under the feet, and like manacles on the right hand. A fool lifts up his voice with laughter, but a wise man scarcely smiles a little. Learning is unto a wise man as an ornament of gold, and like a bracelet upon his right arm. A foolish man's foot is soon in his neighbor's house, but a man of experience is ashamed of him. A fool will peep in at the door into the house, but he that is well nurtured will stand without. It is the rudeness of a man to hearken at the door, but a wise man will be grieved with the disgrace. The lips of talkers will be telling such things as pertain not unto them, but the words of such as have understanding are weighed in the balance. The heart of fools is in their mouth, but the mouth of the wise is in their heart. When the wicked curses Satan, he curses his own soul. A whisper defiles his own soul and is hated wheresoever he dwells.
Sirach 22. A lazy man is compared to a filthy stone, and all shall hiss him to shame. An idle man is compared to the filth of a dunghill. Every man that picks it up shall shake off his hand. An undisciplined man is the shame of his father that brought him forth, and a daughter is brought forth to his loss. A wise daughter brings an inheritance to her husband, but she who lives dishonestly is her father's heaviness. She who is bold shames both her father and her husband, and they shall both despise her. An untimely word is music in mourning, but blows and discipline by wisdom are never untimely. Whoever teaches a fool is as one who glues a potsherd together, and as he who wakes one from a sound sleep. He who speaks a word to a fool speaks to one in a slumber. When he has spoken a word, he shall say, "What is this word?" If children live decently and have means, they shall cover the lowliness of their parents. But children, being haughty, through pride and lacking discipline, stain the nobility of their relatives. Weep for the dead, for he has lost the light, and weep for the fool, for he lacks understanding. Make little weeping for the dead, for he is at rest, but the life of the fool is worse than death. 7 days men shall mourn for the dead, but all the days of his life for a fool and a wicked man. Do not speak much with a fool, and do not go to he who has no understanding. Beware of him, lest you have trouble, and you shall never be defiled with his foolishness. Depart from him, and you shall find rest, and never be worried with madness. What is heavier than lead, and what is its name? But a fool. Sand and salt and a mass of iron is easier to bear than a man without understanding. As timber girded and bound together in a building cannot be loosened with shaking, so the heart that is established by wise counsel shall fear at no time. A heart rested upon a thought of understanding is a lovely plastering on the wall of a gallery. Fences put on a high place shall never stand against the wind, so a fearful heart in the mind of a fool cannot stand against any fear. He who pricks the eye makes the tears fall, and he who pricks the heart makes it show her knowledge. Whoever throws a stone at the birds frightens them away, and he who reproaches his friend breaks a friendship. Though you draw a sword against your friend, yet do not despair, for there may be a returning. If you have opened your mouth against your friend, do not fear, for there may be an atonement, except for reproach or pride or disclosing secrets or a deadly wound. For these matters every friend shall depart. Be trustworthy to your neighbor in his poverty, that you may rejoice in his prosperity. Remain steadfast with him in the time of his distress, that you may be heir with him in his inheritance. For a poor position is not always to be despised, nor the wealthy who are foolish to be held in admiration. As the clouds and smoke of a furnace goes before the fire, so reviling before blood. I shall not be ashamed to defend a friend, nor shall I hide myself from him. But if any evil comes upon me because of him, everyone that hears it shall beware of him. Who shall appoint a guard before my mouth, and a seal of wisdom upon my lips, so I do not suddenly fall by them, and that my tongue does not destroy me? Praise Yah.
Sirach, chapter 23. O Yahweh, Father and Governor of all my whole life, leave me not to their counsel, and let me not fall by them. Who will set scourges over my thoughts, and the discipline of wisdom over my heart, that they spare me not for my ignorance, and it pass not by my sins? Lest my ignorance increase and my sins abound to my destruction, and I fall before my adversaries, and my enemy rejoice over me. Whose hope is far from your mercy, O Yahweh, Father and Elohim of my life? Give me not a proud look, but turn away from your servants always a haughty mind. Turn away from me vain hopes and lusting, and you shall hold him up that is desirous always to serve you. Let not the greediness of the belly nor the lust of the flesh take hold of me, and give not over me your servant into the imprudent mind. Hear, O ye children, the discipline of the mouth. He that keeps it shall never be taken in his lips. The sinner shall be left in his foolishness, but the evil speaker and the proud shall fall thereby. Accustom not your mouth to swearing, neither use yourself to the naming of the Holy One. For as a servant that is continually beaten shall not be without a blue mark, so he that swears and names Elohim continually shall not be faultless. A man that uses much swearing shall be filled with iniquity, and the plague shall never depart from his house. If he shall offend, his sin shall be upon him, and if he acknowledges not his sin, he makes a double offense, and if he swears in vain, he shall not be innocent, but his house shall be full of calamities. There is a word that is clothed about with death. Elohim grant that it be not found in the heritage of Yaakov, for all such things shall be far from the righteous, and they shall not wallow in their sins. Use not your mouth to intemperate swearing, for therein is the word of sin. Remember your father and your mother when you sit among great men. Be not forgetful before them, and so you by your custom become a fool, and wish that you had not been born, and curse the day of your nativity. The man that is accustomed to furious, I don't know the word, excuse me. Words will never be reformed all the days of his life. Two sorts of men multiply sin, and the third will bring wrath. A hot mind is as a burning fire. It will never be quenched till it be consumed. A fornicator in the body of his flesh will never cease till he has kindled a fire. All bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off till he dies. A man that breaks wedlock, saying thus in his heart, who sees me? I am compassed about with darkness. The walls cover me, and nobody sees me. What I need to fear? What need I to fear? El Elyon will not remember my sins. Such a man only fears the eyes of men, and knows not that the eyes of Yahuwah are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret places, the most secret parts. He will know all things ere ever they were created. So also, after they were perfected, he looked upon them all. This man shall be punished in the streets of the city, and where he suspects not, he shall be taken. Thus shall it go also with the woman that leaves her man and brings in an heir by another. For first, she has disobeyed the Torah of El Elyon, and secondly, she has trespassed against her own man, and thirdly, she has played the whore in breaking wedlock and brought children by another man. She shall be brought out into the assembly, and inquisition shall be made of her children. Her children shall not take root, and her branches shall not bring forth no fruit. She shall leave her memory to be cursed, and her reproach shall not be blotted out. And they that remain shall know that there is nothing better than the fear of Yahuwah, and that there is nothing sweeter than to take heed to the commandments of Yahweh. It is great glory to follow Yahweh, and to be received of him is long life. Hallelujah.
Thank you, sir. Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 24. Wisdom shall praise herself and be esteemed in the midst of her people. In the assembly of the Most High she opens her mouth and overcomes before his power. I came out of the mouth of the Most High and covered the earth as a cloud. I dwelt in high places, and my throne was in a cloudy pillar. I alone surrounded the circuit of the Shamayim and walked in the bottom of the deep. In the waves of the sea, and in all the earth, and in every people and nation, I obtained a possession. With all these I sought rest, and in whose inheritance shall I remain?
So the Creator of all gave me a command, and he who made me gave rest for my tent and said, let your dwelling be in Jacob, and your inheritance in Yisrael. He created me for the beginning before the world, and I shall never fail in the Kodesh Mishka. I served before him, and so I was in stability. And
so I was established in Zion.
Established in Zion. Likewise, in the beloved city, he gave me rest, and in Jerusalem was my strength, and I took root in the esteemed people, even in the portion of the inheritance of Yahuwah.
There's a lot of hard words. I was exalted like a cedar in Lebanon, and as a cypress upon the mountains of Hermon. I was exalted like a palm tree in En-Gedi, and as a rose bush in Jericho. As a fair olive tree in a pleasant field, and grew as a fig tree by the water. I gave a sweet smell like cinnamon and rosewood, and I yielded a pleasant fragrance like the best myrrh, as galbanum and shoham, and fragrant gum, and as the fragrance of frankincense in the Mishkan. As the cypress I stretched out my branches, and as my branches are the branches of esteem and favor. As the vine I brought forth a pleasant fragrance, and my flowers are the fruit of esteem and wealth. I am the mother of pleasant love and reverence and knowledge and Kodesh expectancy. I therefore, being of old, am given to all my children who are named by him. Come to me, all you who desire me, and fill yourselves with my fruit. For my remembrance is sweeter than honey, and my inheritance is sweeter than the honeycomb. Those who eat of me shall hunger for more, and those who drink me shall...
What? Oops.
Those who eat of me shall hunger for more, and those who drink me shall thirst for more. He who obeys shall never be ashamed, and those who work beside me shall do no wrong. All these are the book of the covenant of the Most High Elohim, even the law which Moshe commanded for an inheritance to the congregations of Yaakov. Do not lose heart, but be strong in Yahuwah, that he may confirm you. Cling to him, for Yahuwah Almighty is Elohim alone, and beside him there is no other Savior. He fills all with his wisdom as Pishon and as Hedekel in the time of first fruits. He makes understanding to abound like Parath, and as the Yardine in the time of harvest. He makes instruction of knowledge appear as the light, and as Gihon in the time of the grape harvest. The first man did not know her fully, nor shall the last man find her out. For her thoughts are more than the sea, and her counsels deeper than the great deep. I also came out as a wadi from a river, and as a channel into a garden. I said, I shall water my best garden, and shall water my garden bed very much. And see, my wadi became a river, and my river became a sea. I shall yet make instruction to shine as the morning, and shall send forth her light far away. I shall yet pour out instruction as Nebuah, and leave it to all ages forever. See that I have not labored for myself only, but for all those who seek wisdom.
Chapter 25. In 3 matters I was adorned, and stood in loveliness both before Elohim and man, the oneness of brothers, the love of neighbors, a man and wife that agree together. 3 sorts of men my being hates, and I greatly loathe of their life: a poor man who is proud, a wealthy man who is a liar, and an old adulterer who is foolish. If you have gathered not in your youth, how shall you find any matter in your old age? Oh, how lovely is judgment for gray hairs, and for the aged to know counsel. Oh, how lovely is the wisdom of old men, and understanding and counsel in men of esteem. Much experience is the crown of old men, and the reverence of Elohim is their esteem. There are 9 which I have judged in my heart to be Baruch, and the 10th I shall relate with my tongue. A man that has joy from his children, and he who lives to see the fall of his enemy. Good is he who dwells with a wife of understanding, and that has not slipped with his tongue, and that has not served a man more unworthy than himself. Good is he who has found insight, and he who speaks in the ears of those who listen. Oh, how great is he who finds wisdom. Yet there is none above he who reveres Yahuwah. But the love of Yahuwah passes all in understanding. He who possesses it, to what shall he be likened? The reverence of Yahuwah is the beginning of his love, and belief is the beginning of clinging to him. Any wound but a wound of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman, and any affliction but the affliction from those who hate me, and any revenge but the revenge of enemies. There is no venom above the venom of a serpent, and there is no wrath above the wrath of an enemy. I would rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to dwell in a house with a wicked woman. The wickedness of a woman changes her appearance and darkens her face like sackcloth. Her husband shall sit among his neighbors, and listening he shall sigh bitterly. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. As the climbing of a sandy way is to the feet of the aged, so is a wife full of words to a quiet man. Do not stumble at the loveliness of a woman, and do not desire her for pleasure. A woman supporting her husband is full of wrath, hardness, and much reproach. A wicked woman causes courage to cease. causes a heavy face and a wounded heart. A woman that does not comfort her husband in distress causes weak hands and feeble knees. From the woman came the beginning of sin, and because of her we all die. Give water no outlet, nor a wicked woman freedom to roam. If she does not do as you would have her, cut her off from yourself, and give her a certificate of divorce and let her go.
"26. Blessed is the man that has a virtuous woman, for the number of his days shall be double. A virtuous woman rejoices her man, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace. A good woman is a good portion, which shall be given in the portion of them that fear Yahweh. Whether a man be rich or poor, if he has a good heart toward Yahweh, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance. There be 3 things that my heart fears, and for the 4th I was sore afraid: the slander of a city, the gathering together of an unruly multitude, and a false accusation. All these are worse than death. But a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, and a scourge of the tongue which communicates with all. An evil woman is a yoke shaken to and fro. He that has hold of her is as though he held a scorpion. A drunken woman and a gadder approach abroad causes great anger, and she will not cover her own shame. The whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. If your daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. Watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespasses against you. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler, when he has found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow. The grace of a woman delights her man, and her discretion will fatten his bones. A silent and loving woman is a gift of Yahweh, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued. As the sun when it arises in the high heaven, so is the beauty of a good woman in the ordering of her house. As the clear light is upon the holy menorah, so is the beauty of the face in ripe age. As the golden pillars are upon the sockets of silver, so are the fair feet with a constant heart. My son, keep the flower of your age sound, and give not your strength to strangers. When you have gotten a fruitful possession through all the field, sow it with your own seed, trusting in the goodness of your stock. So your race, which you leave, shall be magnified, having the confidence of their good descent. A harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her man. A wicked woman is given to a portion to a wicked man, but a righteous woman is given to him that fears Yahweh. A dishonest woman contemns shame, but an honest woman will reverence her man. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh. A woman that honors her man shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonors him in her pride shall be counted wicked of all. A loud crying woman and a scold shall be sought out to drive away the enemies. There be 2 things that grieve my heart, and the third makes me angry: a man of war that suffers poverty, and men of understanding that are not set by, and one that returns from righteousness to sin. Yahweh prepares such one for the sword. A merchant shall hardly keep himself from doing wrong, and a huckster shall not be freed from sin.
Sirach 27. Many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeks for abundance will turn his eyes away. As a nail sticks fast between the joining of the stones, so does sin stick close between buying and selling. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of Yahuwah, his house shall be soon overthrown. As when one sifts with a sieve, the refuse remains, so the filth of man in his talk. The furnace proves the potter's vessels, so the trial of man is in his reasoning. The fruit declares if the tree has been dressed, so is the utterance of a conceit in the heart of a man. Praise no man before you hear him speak, for this is the trial of men. If you follow righteousness, you shall obtain her, and put her on as a glorious long robe. The birds will resort unto their like, so will truth return unto them that practice in her. As the lion lies in wait for the prey, so sin for them that work iniquity. The discourse of a righteous man is always with wisdom, but a fool changes as the moon. If you be among the indiscreet, observe the time, but be continually among men of understanding. The discourse of fools is irksome, and their sport is the wantonness of sin. The talk of him that swears much makes the hair stand upright, and their brawls make one stop his ears. The strife of the proud is bloodshedding, and their revilings are grievous to the ear. Whoso discovers secrets loses his credit, and shall never find friend to his mind. Love your friend and be faithful unto him, but if you betray his secrets, follow no more after him. For as a man has destroyed his enemy, so have you lost the love of your neighbor. As one that lets a bird go out of his hand, so have you let your neighbor go, and shall not get him again. Follow after him no more, for he is too far off. He is as a roe escaped out of a snare. As for a wound, it may be bound up, and after reviling there may be reconcilement, but he that betrays secrets is without hope. He that winks with the eye works evil. He that knows him will depart from him. When you are present, he will speak sweetly and will admire your words, but at the last he will writhe his mouth and slander your sayings. I have hated many things, but nothing like him, for Yahuwah will hate him. Whoso casts a stone on high, casts it on his own head, and a deceitful stroke shall make wounds. Whoso digs a pit shall fall therein, and he that sets a trap shall be taken therein. He that works mischief, it shall fall upon him, and he shall not know whence it comes. Mockery and reproach are from the proud, but vengeance as a lion shall lie in wait for them. They that rejoice at the fall of the righteous shall be taken in the snare, and anguish shall consume them before they die. Malice and wrath, even these are abominations, and the sinful man shall have them both.
Chapter 28. He who is vengeful shall find vengeance from Yahuwah, and he shall surely keep account of sins. Hold this, please. Forgive your neighbor of the harm that he has done to you, so your sins shall also be forgiven when you pray. One bears hatred against another, and he seek forgiveness from Yahuwah. And should he seek forgiveness from Yahuwah? Question mark. He shows no kindness to a man who is like himself and does as he asks forgiveness of his own sins. If he who is but flesh maintain hatred, who shall pray forgiveness for his sins? Remember your end, and let enmity cease. corruption and death, and remain in the commandments. Remember the commandments and bear no evil against your neighbor, the covenant of the Most High, and overlook faults. Abstain from strife, and you shall diminish your sins. For every man of rage kindles strife. A sinful man disrupts friendships and creates quarrels among those who are at peace. As the structure of the fire, so it burns, and as a man's strength is, so is his wrath. And according to his wealth, his wrath rises. And the stronger they are who contend, the more they shall be inflamed. The hasty quarrel kindles a fire, and a hasty fighting sheds blood. If you blow the spark, it shall burn. If you spit on it, it shall be quenched. And both of these come out of your mouth. Curse the gossiper and double the tongue, for such have destroyed many who were at peace. A backbiting tongue has troubled many and driven them from nation to nation. It has pulled down strong cities and overthrown the houses of great men. A backsliding tongue has thrown out virtuous women and deprived them of their labors. Whoever listens to it shall never find rest and never dwell quietly. They stoke the whims, make marks in the flesh, but the stoke of the tongue breaks the bones. Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not as many who have fallen by the tongue. It is good for he who is protected from its venom, who has not drawn its yoke, nor been bound by its bands. For its yoke is a yoke of iron, and its bands are bands of bronze. The death from it is evil death. The grave is better than it. It shall not rule over those who revere Elohim, nor shall they burn with his flame. Those who forsake Yahweh shall fall into it, and it shall burn them, and it shall not be quenched. It shall be sent upon them as a lion, and devour them as a leopard. As you hedge your possession with thorns around, and bind up your silver and gold, weigh your words in a balance, and make the door and the bar for your mouth. Beware, you do not slip by it, lest you fall before he who lies in wait. Okay, 29.
Chapter 29. He who is kind shall lend to his neighbor, and he who strengthens his hand guards the commands. Lend to your neighbor in his time of need, and repay your neighbor again in due season. Guard your word and deal trustworthy with him, and you shall always find that which is necessary for you. Many reckon what has loaned to them to be found, and put to trouble those who help them. Till he has received, he shall kiss a man's hand, and for his neighbor's silver he shall speak softly. But when he shall repay, he shall prolong the time and return words of grief and complain of the time. If he overcomes, he shall hardly give the half, and he shall count it as though he had found it. If not, he has deprived him of his silver, and has gained an enemy without cause. He pays him with cursings and slander, and instead of esteem, he shall pay him shame. Many have therefore refused to lend for other men's evil deeds, fearing to be cheated, yet have patience with a man in poverty, and do not delay to show him kindness. Help the poor for the sake of the command, and do not turn him away because of his poverty. Lose your silver for your brother and your friend, and do not let it rust under a stone to be lost. Lay up your treasures according to the commands of the Most High, and it shall bring you more profit than gold. Store up kind deeds in your storehouse, and it shall deliver you from all affliction. It shall fight for you against your enemies, better than a mighty shield and strong spear. An honest man stands guardian for his neighbor, but he who is impudent shall forsake him. Do not forget the friendship of your girder, for he has given his life for you. A sinner shall overthrow the good matter of the guarantor, and he who is thankless shall forsake he who delivered him. Guarantee has undone many of good estate, and shaken them as a wave of the sea. It has driven mighty men from their houses, so that they wandered among foreign nations. A wicked man transgressing the commands of Yahweh shall fall in guarantee, and he who undertakes and follows other men's business for gain shall fall into lawsuits. Assist your neighbor according to your ability, and beware that you do not fall into the same. The necessities for life are water, bread, and garments, and the house for privacy. Better is the life of a poor man in a low cottage than food of delicacies in other men's houses. Whether little or much be content, that you do not hear the reproach of your house, for it is a miserable life to go from house to house. For where you are a stranger, you dare not open your mouth. You shall entertain and feast and have no thanks, and you shall hear bitter words. Come you stranger, and furnish the table, and feed me of what you have ready. Give place, you stranger, to an esteemed man. My brother seeks lodging, and I have need of my house. These matters are grievous to a man of understanding. The contempt of a household and a reproach of the lender.
Okay, good job. Chapter, come on up. That page is trying to close.
Chapter 30. He who loves his son causes him to often feel the rod, that he may have joy from him in the end. He who punishes his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice in him among his acquaintances. He who teaches his son grieves the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice in him. Though his father dies, it is as though he were not dead, for he has left one behind who is like himself. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not grieved. He left behind an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall repay kindness to his friends. He who makes too much of his son binds up his wounds, and his body shall be troubled at every cry. A horse unbroken becomes headstrong, and a child left to himself shall be unruly. Spoil your child, and he shall cause your dread. Play with him, and he shall bring you to grief. Do not laugh with him, lest you have sorrow from him, unless you gnash your teeth in the end. Give him no freedom in his youth, and do not wink at his foolishness. Bow down his neck while he is young, and beat his side while he is a child, lest he become stubborn and be disobedient to you, and so bring sorrow to your heart. Discipline your son and put him to work, lest his wicked behavior be a stumbling to you. Better is the poor, being healthy and strong in body, than a wealthy man who is afflicted in his body. Health and good state of body are better than any gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. There is no wealth above a healthy body, and no joy above the joy of the heart. Death is better than the bitter life or continual sickness. Delicacies poured upon a closed mouth are as servings of meat placed upon a grave. What good is the offering to an idol? For it neither eats nor smells. So is he who is persecuted by Yahweh. He sees with his eyes and groans. As a eunuch that embraces a maiden and sighs, do not give your mind over to sorrow. and do not afflict yourself on purpose. The gladness of the heart is the life of man, and the joy of a man prolongs his days. Love your own being and comfort your heart. Remove sorrow far from you, for sorrow has killed many, and there is no profit in it. Envy and wrath shorten a life, and worry brings age before time. A cheerful and good heart pays attention to his meat and diet.
Watching for riches consumes the flesh, and the care thereof drives away sleep. Watching care will not let a man slumber, as a sore disease breaks sleep. The rich has great labor in gathering riches together, and when he rests, he is filled with his delicates. The poor labors in his poor estate, and when he leaves off, he is still needy. He that loves gold shall not be justified, and he that follows corruption shall have enough thereof. Gold has been the ruin of many, and their destruction was present. It is a stumbling block unto them that sacrifice unto it, and every fool shall be taken therewith. Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish, and has not gone after gold. Who is he? And we will call him blessed, for wonderful things has he done among his people. Who has been tried thereby and found perfect? Then let him glory. Who might offend and has not offended, or done evil and has not done it? His good shall be established, and the assembly shall declare his alms. If you sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it, and say not, there is much meat on it. Remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing, and what is created more wicked than an eye? Therefore it weeps upon every occasion. Stretch not your hand whithersoever it looks, and thrust it not with him into the dish. Judge not your neighbor by yourself, and be discreet in every point. Eat as it becomes a man those things which are set before you, and devour not, lest you be hated. Leave off first for manner's sake, and be not unsatiable, lest you offend. When you sit among many, reach not your hand out first of all. A very little is sufficient for a man well nourished, and he fetches not his wind short upon his bed. Sound sleep comes of moderate eating. He rises early, and his wits are with him, but the pain of watching and choler and pangs of the belly are with an unsatiable man. And if you have been forced to eat, arise, go forth, vomit, and you shall have rest. My son, hear me, and despise me not. And at the last you shall find as I told you. In all your works be quick, so shall there no sickness come unto you. Whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him, and the report of his good housekeeping will be believed. But against him that is ungenerous of his meat, the whole city shall murmur, and the testimonies of his stinginess shall not be doubted of. Show not your valiantness in wine, for wine has destroyed many. The furnace proves the edge by dipping, so does wine the hearts of the proud by drunkenness. Wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. Wine measurably drunk and in season brings gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind. But wine drunken with excess makes bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarreling. Drunkenness increases the rage of a fool till he offend. It diminishes strength and makes wounds. Rebuke not your neighbor at the wine, and despise him not in his mirth. Give him no despiteful words, and press not upon him with urging him to drink.
Chapter 32. If you are appointed master, do not lift yourself up, but be among them as one of the rest. Diligently look after them and then sit down. And when you have fulfilled your office, take your place, that you may rejoice with them and receive a crown for your well-ordering of the feast. Speak, you who are the elder, for it is fitting for you, but with right ruling, and do not withhold music. Do not pour out words when there is a musician, and do not put forth wisdom out of time. A concert of music at a banquet of wine is as a signet of ruby mounted in gold, as a signet of an emerald mounted in a work of gold. So is the melody of music with pleasant wine. Speak, young man, if there is need of you, and yet only twice when you are asked. Let your words be few, saying much with few words. Be as one who knows and yet holds his tongue. If you are among great men, do not make yourself equal with them. And when aged men are in place, do not use many words. Before the thunder goes lightning, and before a humble man goes favor. Rise up early, and do not be the last, and get home without delay. There fulfill your office and do what you shall, but do not sin with proud speech. And for these, Baruch, he who made you, and has filled you with his goodness. Whoever reveres Yahuwah shall receive his discipline, and those who seek him early shall find favor. He who seeks the law shall be filled with it, but the hypocrite shall stumble over it. Those who revere Yahuwah shall find right ruling, and shall kindle righteousness as a light. A sinful man shall not be reproved, but finds an excuse according to his liking. A man of counsel is considerate, but a strange and proud man is not troubled by fear, even when he himself has done without counsel. Do no deed without advice, and when you are done, do not regret it. Do not go in a way in which you may fall, and do not stumble among the stones. Do not be reckless on an easy road, and beware of your own children. In every good work, guard your own being, for this is the keeping of the commands. He who believes in Yahuwah guards the commands, and he who trusts in him does not come to harm.
Just pick her up. Just take her. She's gonna yell at me. Okay, why don't you? No evil shall come upon he who reveres Yahuwah, and in trials he shall also deliver him. A wise man does not hate the law, but he who is a hypocrite in it is like a ship in a storm. A man of understanding trusts the law, and the law is trustworthy to him as a word. Prepare what to say, and so you shall be heard. And draw upon instruction, and then give answer. The heart of the foolish is like a cartwheel, and his thoughts are like a rolling axle. A mocking friend is like a stallion, he neighs under everyone that rides him. Why is one day better than another, when all the light of every day of the year is from the sun? By the knowledge of Yahuwah they were appointed, and he turns seasons and feasts. Some of them he has made high days and kadosh them, and some of them he has made regular days. And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created from the earth. In much knowledge Yahuwah has spread them, and made their ways different. Some of them he has barak and exalted, some of them he kadosh and placed near himself. But some of them he has cursed and brought low, and removed from their places. As the clay in the potter's hand to fashion it at his desire, so is the man in the hand of he who made him, to give unto them as he thinks best. Good opposes evil and life against death, so is the righteous against the sinner, and the wicked against the reverent. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are pairs of two, one against another. I woke up last of all, as one that gathers after the grape gatherers. By the barakah of Yahuwah I profited, and trod my winepress like a gatherer of grapes. Consider that I did not labor for myself only, but for all those who seek learning. Hear me, O you great men of the people, and listen with your ears, you rulers of the assembly. Do not give your son and wife, your brother and friend, power over you while you live, and do not give your goods to another, lest you reconsider and you ask for its return. As long as you live and have breath in you, do not give yourself over to any, for it is better for your children that should seek from you than that you should stand to their sympathy. Be the best in all your works. Do not leave a blot on your esteem. At the time when you shall... Don't laugh at her. Pick her up. Here, you finish reading and I'll take her. Which verse?
Okay. At the time when you shall end your days and finish your life, distribute your inheritance. Fodder, a rod, and burdens are for the donkey, and bread, discipline, and work for a servant. If you put your servant to labor, you shall find rest. But if you let him go idle, he shall seek freedom. A yoke and a collar bow the neck, so the tortures and punishment for an evil servant. Send him to work so he is not idle, for idleness teaches much evil. Put him to work as is fit for him. If he is not obedient, put on heavier shackles. But do not be excessive toward any, and do not without discretion. If you have a servant, let him be to you as yourself, because you have bought him for a price. If you have a servant, treat him as a brother. If you have need of him as of your own being, if you treat him evilly and he runs from you, which way shall you go to seek him? Chapter 34.
The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false, and dreams lift up fools. Whoso regards dreams is like him that catches at a shadow and follows after the wind. The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another, even as the likeness of a face to a face. Of an unclean thing what can be cleansed? And from that thing which is false what truth can come? Divinations and soothsayings and dreams are vain, and the heart fancies as a woman's heart in travail. If they be not sent from El Elyon in your visitation, set not your heart upon them. For dreams have deceived many, and they have failed that put their trust in them. The Torah shall be found perfect without lies, and wisdom is perfection to a faithful mouth. A man that has traveled knows many things, and he that has much experience will declare wisdom. He that has no experience knows little, but he that has traveled is full of prudence. When I traveled, I saw many things, and I understand more than I can express. I was ofttimes in danger of death, yet I was delivered because of these things. The ruach of those that fear Yahweh shall live, for their hope is in him that saves them. Whoso fears Yahweh shall not fear nor be afraid, for he is his hope. Blessed is the soul of him that fears Yahweh. To whom does he look? And who is his strength? For the eyes of Yahweh are upon them that love him. He is their mighty protection and strong stay, a defense from heat and a cover from the sun at noon, a preservation from stumbling and a help from falling. He raises up the soul and lightens the eyes. He gives health, life, and blessing. He that sacrifices of a thing wrongfully gotten his offering is ridiculous, and the gifts of unjust men are not accepted. El Elyon is not pleased with the offerings of the wicked, neither is he pacified for sin by the multitude of sacrifices. Whoso brings an offering of the goods of the poor does as one that kills the son before his father's eyes. The bread of the needy is their life. He that defrauds him thereof is a man of blood. He that takes away his neighbor's living slays him, and he that defrauds the labor of his hire is a bloodshedder. When one builds and another pulls down, what profit have they then but labor? When one prays and another curses, whose voice will Yahweh hear? He that washes himself after the touching of a dead body, if he touch it again, what avails his washing? So is it when a man that fasts for his sins and goes again and does the same, who will hear his prayer, or what does his humbling profit him?
Thank you, brother. All right. All righty. What chapter? Is it 30? We on 36, I think. We on 35? 35, that's right. Don't want to do that twice. Hallelujah. He who guards the law brings offering enough. He who guards the commands offer a peace offering. He who repays a good deed offers fine flour, and he who gives in kindness offers praise. To depart from wickedness is pleasing to Yahweh, and to forsake unrighteousness is an atonement. You shall not appear empty-handed before Yahweh, for these are because of the command. The offering of the righteous makes the altar fat, and the sweet savor is before the Most High. The offering of a righteous man is acceptable, and the remembrance of it shall never be forgotten. Give Yahweh his esteem with a good eye, and do not diminish the first fruits of your hands. In all of your gifts show a cheerful face, and dedicate your tithes with gladness. Give to the Most High according to his enrichment unto you. And as you have received, give with a cheerful eye. For Yahweh repays, and shall give you 7 times as much. Do not think it is corrupt with gifts, for he does not accept these. And do not trust in unrighteous offering, for Yahweh is judge, and with him is no penalty or partiality. He shows a partiality against the poor, but shall hear the prayer of the oppressed. He shall not despise the prayer of the fatherless, nor the widow. When she pours out her complaint, do not the tears run down the widow's cheeks? And it is not her cry against he who causes them to fall. For who Yahweh serves shall be accepted with favor, and his prayer reaches to the clouds. The prayer of the humble pierces the clouds, and he shall not be conformed till it comes near, and shall not depart. Feel the Most High executes the right rulings and judgment. For Yahweh does not delay, nor is the Almighty patient forward them, till he has crushed the lions of the ruthless, and repaid the vengeance upon the Gentiles, till he has taken away the crown of the proud, and broken the scepter. Well, I've had trouble with that one. Somebody help me. Scepter of the unrighteous. I have trouble with that word. Till he has given to everyone according to their deeds, and to the works of men according to their schemes. Till he has judged the cause of his people, and caused them to rejoice in his kindness. Favor is welcome in the time of affliction, as clouds of rain in the time of drought. Next, chapter 36. I don't think it's 36.
Chapter 36. Show favor upon us, O Yahuwah, Elohim of all, and look on us. And send your fear upon all the nations that do not seek you. Lift up your hand against the foreign nations, and let them see your strength as you are Kodesh in us before them. So you be exalted among them before us, and let them know you are as we have known you, that there is no Elohim but you alone, O Elohim. Show new signs and make other awesome wonders. Esteem your hand and your right arm, that they may put forth your wondrous works. Raise up displeasure and pour out wrath. Remove the adversary and destroy the enemy. Shorten the time, remember the covenant, and let them declare your wonders. Let he who escapes be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let those who impress the people perish. Crush the heads of the rulers and Gentiles that say, there is no one else but us. Gather all the tribes of Jacob together, and your inheritance as from the beginning. O Yahuwah, show favor upon the people that are called by your name, and upon Israel, whom you have named your firstborn. O be kind to Jerusalem, your Kodesh city, the place of your rest. Fill Zion with your unspeakable words, and your people with your esteem. Give witness to those you have possessed from the beginning, and raise up the Nephilim that are for your name, the Nebium that are for your name. Reward those who wait for you, and let your Nebium be found trustworthy. O Yahuwah, fear the prayer of your servants, according to the Barakah of Aaron over your people, that all those who dwell on the earth may know that you are Yahuwah, the Elohim of old. The stomach consumes all foods, yet one meat is better than another. As the mouth tastes different kinds of game, so does a heart of understanding false speeches. A crooked heart causes grief, but a man of experience shall repay him. A woman shall accept any man, yet one daughter is better than another. The loveliness of a woman cheers the face, and there is naught a man loves better. If there is kind meekness and comfort in her tongue, then her husband is not like other men. He who acquires a wife begins with a possession, a help like himself, and a pillar of rest. Where no wall is, there his possessions are plundered, and he who has no wife shall wander about sighing. Who shall trust a crafty thief that skips from city to city? Even so, a man that has no house and lodges wherever the night takes him. Praise Yah.
Chapter 37. Every friend says, I am his friend also, but there is a friend which is only a friend in name. Is it not a grief unto death when a companion and friend is turned to an enemy? O wicked thoughts, where have you come from to cover the earth with deceit? There is a compassion who rejoices in the prosperity of a friend, but in the time of trouble shall be against him. There is a companion who helps his friend for his stomach and takes up a shield against the enemy. Do not forget your friend in your heart, and do not forget him in your wealth. Every counselor extols counsel, but some who counsel for themselves. Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he has, for he shall counsel for himself, and cast the lot against you, and say to you, your way is good, and afterward stand on the other side to see what shall befall you. Do not consult with one that suspects you, and hide your counsel from those who envy you, nor consult with a woman regarding she of whom she is jealous, nor with a coward in matters of battle. nor with the merchant concerning exchange, nor with the buyer about seller, nor with an envious man about thankfulness, nor with the ruthless man regarding kindness, nor with the lazy for any work, nor with the yearly hired man about finishing work, nor with an idle servant of much business. Do not listen to these in any matter of counsel, but be continually with a reverent man, whom you know to guard the commandments of Yahuwah, whose mind is according to your mind, and it shall grieve with you if you fail. And let the counsel of your own heart stand, for there is no man more trustworthy to you than it. For the mind of a man sometimes tells him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in a high tower. And above all this, pray to the Most High, that he directs your way in truth. Let reason go before every work, and counsel before every action. The face is a sign of changing of the heart. 4 ways of all are apparent, good and evil, life and death, but the tongue rules over them continually. There is one who is wise and teaches many, and yet does not profit himself. There is one who shows wisdom in words, and is hated. He shall be destitute of all food, for favor is not given to him from Yahuwah, because he has neglected all wisdom. Another is wise to himself, and the fruits of understanding are as praise in his mouth. A wise man instructs his people, and the fruits of his understanding do not fail. A wise man shall be filled with blessings, and all those who see him shall regard him as Baruch. The days of the life of man may be numbered, but the days of Israel are without number. A wise man shall inherit esteem among his people, and his name shall be forever. My son, prove your being in your life, and see what is evil for it, and do not give in to it. For not all is profitable for all men, nor has every being pleasure in every matter. Do not be gluttonous in any delicacy, nor too greedy with food. For excess of food brings sickness, and gluttony shall turn to disgust. Many have perished by gluttony, but he who guards himself prolongs his life.
Chapter 38. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which you may have of him, for Yahweh has created him. For of El Elyon comes healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. Yahweh has created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise shall not abhor them. Was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? And he has given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works. With such he heals men and takes away their pains. Of such the apothecary makes a confection, and of his works there is no end. And from him is peace over all the earth. My son, in your sickness, be not negligent, but pray unto Yahuwah, and he will make you whole. Leave off from sin, and order your hands aright, and cleanse your heart from all wickedness. Give a sweet savor, and a memorial of fine flour, and make a fat offering as not being. Then give place to the physician, for Yahuwah has created him. Let him not go from you, for you have need of him. There is a time when in their hands there is good success. For they shall also pray unto Yahuwah, that he would prosper that which they give for ease and remedy to prolong life. He that sins before his Maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician. My son, let tares fall down over the dead, and begin to lament. If you had suffered great harm yourself, and then cover his body according to the custom, and neglect not his burial, weep bitterly, and make great moan, and use lamentation, as he is worthy, and that a day or two, lest you be evil spoken of, and then comfort yourself for your heaviness. For of heaviness comes death, and the heaviness of the heart breaks strength. In affliction also sorrow remains, and the life of the poor is the curse of the heart. Take no heaviness to heart, drive it away, and remember the last end. Forget it not, for there is no turning again. You shall not do him good, but hurt yourself. Remember my judgment, for you also shall be so. Yesterday for me, and today for you. When the dead is at rest, let his remembrance rest, and be comforted for him when his ruach is departed from him. The wisdom of a learned man comes by opportunity of leisure, and he that has little business shall become wise. How can he get wisdom that holds the plow, and that glories in the goad, that drives oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullocks? He gives his mind to make furrows, and is diligent to give the kine fodder. So every carpenter and workmaster that labors night and day, and they that cut engrave seals, and are diligent to make great variety, and give themselves to counterfeit imagery, and watch to finish a work. The smith also, sitting by the anvil, and considering the ironwork, the vapor of the fire wastes his flesh, and he fights with the heat of the furnace. The noise of the hammer and the anvil is ever in his ears, and his eyes look still upon the pattern of the thing that he makes. He sets his mind to finish his work, and watches to polish it perfectly. So does the potter sitting at his work and turning the wheel about with his feet, who is always carefully set at his work, and makes all his work by number. He fashions the clay with his arm, and bows down his strength before his feet. He applies himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the assembly. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice and judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. Chapter 39. But he that gives his mind to the Torah of El Elyon, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. He will guard the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men, and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he has tried the good and the evil among men. He will give his heart to resort early to Yahweh that made him, and will pray before El Elyon, and will open his mouth in prayer, and make supplication for his sins. When the great Yahweh will, he shall be filled with the Ruach Bina. He shall pour out wise sentences, and give thanks unto Yahweh in his prayer. He shall direct his counsel and knowledge, and in his secret shall he meditate. He shall show forth that which he has learned, and shall glory in the Torah of the covenant of Yahweh. Many shall commend his understanding, and so long as the world endures, it shall not be blotted out. His memorial shall not depart away, and his name shall live from generation to generation. Nations shall show forth his wisdom, and the assembly shall declare his praise. And if he die, he shall leave a greater name than 1,000, and if he live, he shall increase it. Yet have I more to say, which I have thought upon, for I am filled as the moon at the full. Hearken unto me, you holy children, and bud forth as a rose growing up by the brook of the field, and give you a sweet savor as frankincense and flourish as a lily. Send forth a smell and sing a song of praise. Bless Yahweh in all his works. Magnify his name and show forth his praise with the songs of your lips and with harps, and in praising him you shall say after this manner. All the works of Yahweh are exceeding good, and whatsoever he commands shall he accomplish in due season. And none may say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For at time convenient they shall all be sought out. At his commandment the waters stood as a heap, and at the words of his mouth the receptacles of waters. At his commandment is done whatsoever pleases him, and none can hinder when he will save. The works of all flesh are before him, and nothing can be hid from his eyes. He sees from everlasting to everlasting, and there is nothing wonderful before him. A man need not to say, what is this? Wherefore is that? For he has made all things for their uses. His blessing covered the dry land as a river and watered it as a flood. As he has turned the waters into saltness, so shall the heathen inherit his wrath. As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked. For the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the righteous. So to the sinners they are turned into evil. There be ruach gults that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force, and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandment, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is. And when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. Therefore from the beginning I was resolved, and thought upon these things, and have left them in writing. All the works of Yahweh are good, and he will give every needful thing in due season. So that a man cannot say, this is worse than that, for in time they shall be well approved. And therefore praise you, Yahweh, with the whole heart and mouth, and bless the name of Yahweh. Hallelujah.
All right, brother. We'll just keep it. All right, we're at 40. Chapter 40. Let me just stand up. Great hardship is created for every man, and a heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam. From the day that they go out of their mother's womb till the day that they return to the mother of all. Their imagination of what is to come and the day of death, and their thoughts in fear of heart, from he who sits on a throne of esteem to he who is humble in the dirt and ashes, from he who wears purple and a crown to he who is clothed with a linen robe, wrath and envy, trouble and unrest, fear of death, and displeasure and strife. And in the time of the rest of his bed, his sleep at night changes his knowledge. He gets little or no rest, and after his sleep is as in a day of watching. Troubled is in the vision of his mind, as he had escaped out of a battle. When all is safe, he wakes and marvels that the fear was not. These come to all, both man and beast, and the 7 times more upon sinners, death and the bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, scarcity of food, distress and the scourge. These are created for the wicked, and the flood came for their sakes. All that of the earth shall return to the earth again, and that which is of the waters return to the sea. All bribery and unrighteousness shall be blotted out, but right rulings endure forever. The goods of the unrighteous shall be dried up like a wadi, and they shall vanish with noise, like great thunder and rain. While the generous shall rejoice, so transgressors shall come to naught. The children of the wicked shall not bring forth many branches, but are as unclean roots on a hard rock. The weed growing on all the water and riverbanks shall be pulled up before any grass. Kindness is in the most fruitful garden, and favor endures forever. To labor and to be content with what a man has is a sweet life, but he who finds a treasure is above them both. Children and the building of a city continues a man's name, but a blameless wife is counted above both of them. Wine and music rejoice the heart, but love of the wisdom is above them both. The flute of the harp make a sweet melody, but a pleasant tongue is above them both. Your eye desires favor and loveliness, but more than both is grain while green. A friend and companion never meet wrongfully, but above both is a wife with her husband. Brothers are a help for time of trouble, but kind deeds shall never more than them both. Gold and silver make a solid footing, but counsel is esteemed above them both. Wealth and power lift the heart, but the reverence of Yahweh is above them both. There is no lack of the reverence of Yahweh, and with it you need not seek help, for the reverence of Yahweh is a fruitful garden, and covers him above all esteem. My son, do not lead a beggar's life, for better is it to die than to beg. The life of he who depends on another man's table cannot be considered a life, for he pollutes himself with the food of other men. But a wise, disciplined man guards himself from it. Begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless, but in the inward parts a fire burns. Chapter 41. O death, how bitter is the remembrance of you to a man that lives at rest in his possessions, to the man who has no pain unto him, and that has prosperity in all, even to he who is yet able to gain food. O death, your lot is acceptable to the needy, and to him whose strength fails. That is now in the rest, or in the last age, and paired with all. And to he who despairs has lost patience. Do not fear the lot of death. Remember those who have been before you and who come after you. For this is the lot from Yahweh over the flesh. And why are you against the decision of the Most High? Just a second, I got a stuck page here. Yeah, two stuck pages. Decisions. Okay. Decisions of the Most High. Okay. Wow, 2 pages stuck there. There is no standing in the grave. Whether you have lifted 10 or 100 or 1,000 years lived, the children of the sinners are abominable children, and those who keep the company of the dwelling of the wicked, the inheritance of the children of the sinners shall perish, and their descendants shall be an everlasting reproach. The children complain of a wicked father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Woe unto you, wicked men, who have forsaken the law of the Most High Elohim, for if you increase, it shall be your destruction. If you are born, you shall be born into a curse, and if you die, a curse shall be your lot. All that are on the earth shall turn to the earth again. So the wicked shall go from a curse to destruction. The mourning of men is over their bodies, but the evil name of the sinners shall be blotted out. Have regard for your name, for that shall continue with you above 1,000 great treasures of gold. A good life has few days, but a good name endures forever. My children, guard discipline in peace, for wisdom is hidden, and the treasure that is not seen. What profit is there for either? A man that hides his foolishness is better than a man who hides his wisdom. Therefore, be ashamed according to my word, for it is not good to retain all shame. For it is altogether approved in every matter. Be ashamed of the whoring before your father and mother, and of a lie before the prince and a mighty men, of an offense before a judge and a ruler, of wickedness before the assembly and people, of unrighteous dealing before your partner and friend, and of theft in regards to the place where you sojourn, and in regard to the truth of Elohim and his covenant, and to lean with your elbow upon the food, and despising and give and take, and of silence before those who greet you, and to look upon a whore, and to turn away from your face from your relative, or to take away portion of a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife, or to be meddling with his female servant, and do not come near her bed, or words of reproach before friends. And after you have given, not to reproach, nor of the repeating or speaking again which you have heard, and the revealing of secrets, so you shall be truly ashamed and find favor before all men. Hallelujah, Yahuwah.
Chapter 42. Of these matters do not be ashamed, and allow no one to sin by them, of the law of the Most High and his covenant, and of judgment to declare the wicked right, of reckoning with your partners and travelers, or of the gift of the inheritance of friends, of exactness of balance and weights, or of acquiring much or little, and of the haughty selling by merchants, of much correction of children, and to draw blood from the back of a wicked servant. Where a wicked wife is, safekeeping is good, and shut up where many hands are. Deliver all by number and weight, and put in writing all that you give out or receive in. Do not be ashamed to inform the unwise and foolish, and the very old who contends with those who are young. Thus ye shall be truly learned and approved of all men living. The father wakes for the daughter when no man knows, and the concern for her takes away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass the flower of her youth, and being married, lest she should be hated. In her maidenhood, lest she should be defiled and become pregnant in her father's house. And having a husband, lest she should misbehave herself. And when she is married, lest she should be barren. Keep a close watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make you a laughingstock to your enemies, and a byword in the city, and a reproach among the people, and make you ashamed before the assembly. Do not look upon the loveliness of every woman, and do not sit in the midst of women, for a moth comes from garments, and wickedness from women. Better is the hardness of a man than a courteous woman, a woman who brings shame and reproach. I shall now remember the works of Yahuwah, and declare that which I have seen. And the words of Yahuwah are his works, and all his creation does his desire. The sun that gives light looks upon all. and its doing is full of the esteem of Yahuwah. Yahuwah has not given power to the Kodashim to declare all of his marvelous works, which Yahuwah the Almighty firmly settled, that whatever exists might be established for his esteem. He seeks out the deep and the heart, and considers their crafty schemes. For Yahuwah knows all that may be known, and he looks upon the signs of the world. He declares matters that are past and those to come, and reveals the path of that which is hidden. No thought escapes him, nor is any word hidden from him. He has adorned the excellent works of his wisdom, and he is from everlasting to everlasting. Unto him none is added, nor shall he be diminished, and he has no need of any counselor. Oh, how desirable are all his works, and that a man may see even a spark. All these live and remain forever for all uses, and they are all obedient. All matters are equal, one against another, and he has made none imperfect. One establishes the good of another, and who is ever filled with looking upon his esteem? Chapter 43. The pride of the heights and the clear expanse, the loveliness of the Shamayim, with his esteem display, the sun when it appears, showing a marvelous instrument as at its rising, the work of the Most High. At noon it scorches the land, and who shall stand its burning heat? A man blowing a furnace works with heat, but the sun burns the mountains 3 times more, breathing out fiery vapors and sending out bright rays. It blinds the eyes. Great is Yahuwah who made it, and at his command it runs speedily. He made the moon also to serve in its season for appointed times, and a sign for the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that descends in its completion. The new moon is called after its name, increasingly wondrous in its changing, being an instrument for the host above, shining in the expanse of the Shamayim, the loveliness of the Shamayim, the esteem of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of Yahuwah. At the command of the Kadosh, one they stand in their order, and never weary in their watches. Look upon the rainbow and praise. He who made it, it is very lovely in its brightness. It surrounds the Shamayim with a splendid arc, and the hands of the Most High have bent it. By his command he makes the snow to fall in place, and sends the lightnings of his judgment swiftly. Through this the storehouses are open, and clouds fly onward as birds. By his great power he makes the clouds pour out, and the hailstones are broken small. At his sight the mountains are shaken, and at his desire the south wind blows. The noise of thunder causes the earth to tremble, so does the northern storm and the whirlwind. As birds flying he scatters the snow, and its falling is as the settling of grasshoppers. The eye marvels at the loveliness of its whiteness, and the heart is astonished at its falling. He also pours the frost as salt upon the earth, and being hardened it lays on the top as sharp icicles. When the cold north wind blows, and the water is hardened into ice, it remains upon every collection of water, and clothes the water like a breastplate. It devours the mountains and burns the wilderness, and consumes the grass like fire. Amidst coming speedily stands as a healer of all, a refreshing dew coming after heat. By his counsel he calms the deep, and plants islands within it. Those who sail on the sea tell of its dangers, and when we hear it with our ears we marvel at it. For in it are strange and wondrous works, differing kinds of all creatures and whales created. By him the end of them has a benefit of good, and by his word all exist. We may speak much and yet come short. Therefore, in summary, he is all. How are we able to exalt him? For he is great above all his works. Yahuwah is awesome and exceedingly great, and his power is marvelous. When you esteem Yahuwah, exalt him as much as you may, for he shall even yet far exceed. And when you exalt him, deliver all your strength, and do not be weary, for you shall never declare enough. Who has seen him that he might tell us? Or who could exalt him as he is? There are still greater than these which are hidden, for we have seen but a few of his works. For Yahuwah hath made all, and to the reverent has he given wisdom.
Chapter 44. Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begat us. Yahuwah has wrought great glory by them, through his great power from the beginning, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies. Leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people, wise and eloquent are their instructions, such as found out musical tunes and recited verses in writing, rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitations. All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their times. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported. And some there be which have no memorial, who are perished as though they had never been, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children after them. But these were merciful men, whose righteousness has not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance, and their children are within the covenant. Their seed stands fast, and their children for their sakes. Their seed shall remain forever, and their glory shall not be blotted out. Their bodies are buried in peace, but their name lives forevermore. The people will tell of their wisdom, and the assembly will show forth their praise. Hanok pleased Yahuwah and was translated, being an example of repentance to all generations. Noah was found perfect and righteous. In the time of wrath he was taken in exchange for the world. Therefore was he left as a remnant unto the earth. When the flood came, an everlasting covenant was made with him, that all flesh should perish no more by the flood. Abraham was a great father of many people. In glory was there none like unto him, who kept the Torah of El Elyon and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. Therefore he assured him by an oath that he would bless the nations in his seed, and that he would multiply him as the dust of the earth, and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea, and from the river unto the utmost part of the land. With Yitzhak did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men and the covenant, and made it to rest upon the head of Yaakov. He acknowledged him in his blessing, and gave him a heritage, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes did he part them. Chapter 45. And he brought out of him a merciful man, which found favor in the sight of all flesh, even Moshe, beloved of Elohim and men, whose memorial is blessed. He made him like to the glorious Kodashim, and magnified him, so that his enemies stood in fear of him. By his words he caused the wonders to cease, and he made him glorious in the sight of kings, and gave him a commandment for his people, and showed him part of his glory. He sanctified him in his faithfulness and meekness, and chose him out of all men. He made him to hear his voice and brought him into the dark cloud and gave him commandments before his face, even the Torah of life and knowledge, that he might teach Yaakov his covenants and Yasharel his judgments. He exalted Aaron, a righteous man like unto him, even his brother of the tribe of Levi. An everlasting covenant he made with him and gave him the priesthood among the people. He beautified him with comely ornaments and clothed him with a robe of glory. He put upon him perfect glory and strengthened him with rich garments, with breeches, with a long robe and the ephod. And he compassed him with pomegranates and with many golden bells around about, that as he went there might be a sound and a noise made that might be heard in the temple for a memorial to the children of his people, with a holy garment, with gold and blue, silk and purple, the work of the embroidery, with a breastplate of judgment, and with Urim and Tumim, with twisted scarlet, the work of the cunning workmen, with precious stones graven like seals and set in gold, the work of the jeweler, with a writing engraved for a memorial, after the number of the tribes of Yasharel. He set a crown of gold upon the turban, wherein was engraved holiness, an ornament of honor, a costly work, the desires of the eyes, goodly and beautiful. Before him there was none such, neither did ever any stranger put them on, but only his children and his children's children perpetually. Their sacrifices shall be wholly consumed every day, twice continually. Moshe consecrated him and anointed him with holy oil. This was appointed unto him by an everlasting covenant, and to his seed, so long as the heavens should remain, that they should minister unto him and execute the office of the priesthood, and bless the people in his name. He chose him out of all men living to offer sacrifices to Yahuwah, incense and a sweet savor for a memorial, to make reconciliation for his people. He gave unto him his commandments and authority in the statutes of judgments, that he should teach Yaakov the testimonies and inform Yasharel in his Torah. Strangers conspired together against him and maligned him in the wilderness, even the men that were of Dathan and Abiram's side, and the assembly of Korah, with fury and wrath. This Yahuwah saw, and it displeased him, and in his wrathful indignation were they consumed. He did wonders upon them, to consume them with the fiery flame. But he made Aaron more honorable, and gave him a heritage, and divided unto him the firstfruits of the incense, of the increase, especially by prepared bread in abundance. For they eat of the sacrifices of Yahuwah, which he gave unto him and his seed. Howbeit in the land of the people he had no inheritance, neither had he any portion among the people, for Yahuwah himself is his portion and inheritance. The third in glory is Pinchas, the son of Eleazar, because he had zeal in the fear of Yahuwah, and stood up with good courage of heart when the people were turned back, and made reconciliation for Yasharel. Therefore was their covenant of peace made with him, that he should be the chief of the sanctuary of his people, and that he and his posterity should have the dignity of the priesthood forever, according to the covenant made with David, son of Yishai, of the tribe of Yehudah, that the inheritance of the king should be to his posterity alone. So the inheritance of Aaron should also be unto his seed. Elohim gave you wisdom in your heart to judge his people in righteousness, that their good things be not abolished, and that their glory may endure forever.
Goodness gracious. Okay. Okay. Yahusha, son of Nun, was a brave warrior, and was successor of Moshe in Nebor, who according to his name was made great for the saving of the elect of Elohim, and taking vengeance on the enemies that rose up against them, that he might place Yasharel in their inheritance. What great esteem he attained! And when he lifted up his hands and stretched out his sword against the cities, who before him ever stood up to it? For Yahuwah himself brought his enemies to him. Did the sun not go back by his doing? And was not one day as long as two? He called upon the Most High, when the enemies pressed upon him from every side. And Yahuwah, the Almighty, heard him, and with hailstones and great strength he made the battle of violently against the nations, and at the descent he destroyed those who resisted, that the nations might know all their strength, because he fought in the sight of Yahuwah. And he followed the Almighty in the time of Moshe. He also did a work of kindness. He and Caleb and the son of the Ephraim, and him that withstood the assembly, and withheld the people from their sin, and appeased the wicked, murmuring. And of 600,000 people on foot, these two preserved to bring them into the inheritance, even to the land that flows with milk and honey. Yahweh also gave them strength to Caleb, who remained with him to his old age, so that he entered into the high places of the land, and his seed ordained it for an inheritance, that all the children of Yasharel might see that it is good to follow Yahuwah. And concerning the judges, every one of them by name, everyone by name, whose heart did not go whoring, nor departed from Yahuwah, let their memory be Baruch. Let their bones flourish from their place, and let the name of those who are esteemed to continue upon their children. Shemuel and the Nabal of Yahuwah, beloved of Agon, established a region and anointed princes over his name. By the law of Yahuwah, he rightly ruled the assembly, and Yahuwah showed respect toward Jacob. By his trustworthiness, he was found a truly Nabal, and by his word was known to be trustworthy in vision. And he called upon Yahuwah the Almighty when the enemies pressed upon him on every side, when he offered the suckling lamb, and Yahuwah thundered from the Shamahim, and with a great noise made his voice heard, and he destroyed the rulers of the Sorites and all the princes of the Pelisheths, and before his long sleep, he bore witness in the sight of Yahuwah and his anointed. I have not, and this is a quote, I have not taken any man's goods so much as a shoe, and no man accused him. And after his death, he, Nabal, and showed the sovereign his end. And he lifted the voice of the earth in Nebuah, and blotted out to the wickedness of the people. Chapter 47. And after him rose up Nathan to Nabal in the time of Dawid, and the fat is taken away from the peace offering. So Dawid was chosen out of the children of Yasharel, and played with lions as with young goats, and bears with lambs. Did he not slay a giant when he was still young? And did he not take away the reproach of the people when he lifted up his hand with the stone in the sling, and beat down the boasting of Goliath? For he called upon the Most High El, and he gave him strength in his right hand to slay that mighty warrior, and raise up a horn of his people, so that the people esteemed him with 10,000, and praised him with the Baruchoth of Yahuwah. and in that gave him a crowd of esteem, for he destroyed their enemies on every side, and brought to naught his adversaries, the Pelisheths, and broke them from the horde of the pieces to this day. In all the works he praised the Kodesh One Most High with words of esteem. With his whole heart he sang songs, and he loved he who made him. He also appointed singers before the altar, that with their voices they made sweet melody and sang praises daily with their songs. He anointed their feasts and put in order the appointed times unto the end, that they should praise the Kodesh name, and that the Heka might resound from the morning. Yahweh took away his sins and exalted his horn forever, and gave him a covenant of sovereigns and a throne of esteem in Yasharel. After him rose a wise son, and for his sake his dwelling was broad. Shelamoth reigned in peacetime and was esteemed. For Elohim made quiet all around him, that he might build a house for his name, and prepare his middash forever. How wise you were in your youth, and filled with your understanding as a flood. Your being covered the whole earth. You filled it with deep parables. Your name went went to the far islands, and your peace were you loved. Thought I was going to sneeze there. Sorry. In your peace were you loved, and the lands marveled at you for your songs and proverbs and parables and interpretations by the name of Yahweh Elohim, which is called Yahweh Elohim of Yasharel. You gathered gold and tin and multiplied silver and lead. You bowed your lions to women, and by your body you were brought into subjection. You stained your esteem and polluted your seed, so that you brought wrath upon your children, and were grieved for your folly. So the reign was divided, and out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious reign. But the kindness of Yahweh shall never cease, nor shall any of his works perish. Neither shall he cut off the descendants of his elect. And the seed of he who loves him he shall not take away. Therefore he gave a remnant to Jacob, and out of him a root of David. Thus Shemeloth wrestled with his fathers and of his seed, and he left behind him Rehoboam, even the foolish of the people, and one who had no understanding, who turned from his people away through his counsel. There was also Jacob, the son of Nebagat. I'm not very good on Hebrew, so bear with me. Who caused Yasharel to sin and show Ephraim the way of sin. And their sins multiplied exceedingly. So they were driven out of the land, for they sought out all wickedness, till the punishment came upon them. Hallelujah, Yahuwah.
We got 48, 40, I guess 48, 49. We're doing one to finish it out because we got 4 people in line.
Huh?
Chapter 48. Then Eliyahu the Navi stood up as fire, and his word burned like a lamp. He brought a severe scarcity of food upon them, and by his order he diminished their number. By the word of Yahuwah he shut up the Shamayim, and also brought down fire 3 times. O Eliyahu, how you were esteemed in your wondrous deeds! And whose esteem is like yours, who raised up a dead man from death, and his being from the place of the dead, by the word of the Most High, who brought sovereigns to destruction, and honorable men from their bed? who heard the rebuke of Yahuwah at Sinai and the judgment of punishment in Horeb, who anointed sovereigns to take vengeance, and Nevi'im to succeed after him, who was taken up in a whirlwind of fire and in a chariot of fiery horses, who were ordained for reproofs in their times, to appease the wrath of judgment of Yahuwah before it broke forth into wrath, and to turn the heart of their father to the son, and to restore the tribes of Yaakov. Baruch are those who saw you and slept in love, for we shall surely live. It was Eliyahu who was covered with a whirlwind, and Elijah was filled with his Ruach. While he lived, he was not moved by the presence of any prince, nor could any bring him into subjection. No word could overcome him, and after his death, his being Nava, he did wonders in his life, and at his death his works were marvelous. For all this the people did not repent, nor did they depart from their sins, till they were plundered and carried out of their land, and were scattered through all the earth. Yet there remained a remnant of the people, and a ruler from the house of David, of whom some did that which was pleasing to Elohim, and some multiplied sins. Hezekiah fortified his city and brought in water into the midst of it. He dug the solid rock with tools of iron and made wells for water. In his time, Sennacherib came up and sent the Rebashakeh and lifted up his hand against Zion and boasted proudly. Then their hearts and hands trembled, and they were in pain as women in childbirth. But they called upon Yahuwah, who is kind, and stretched out their hands towards him, and immediately the Kadosh One heard them out of the Shamayim and delivered them by the service of Yeshayahu. He smote the army of Ashur, and his messenger destroyed them. For Hezekiah had done that which pleased Yahuwah, and was strong in the ways of David his father, as Yeshayahu the Navi, who was great and trustworthy in his vision, had commanded him. In his time the sun went backward, and he lengthened the sovereign's life. He saw by an excellent spirit what would come to pass, and he comforted those who mourned in Zion. He showed what should come to be at the end of time, and secrets before they came to be. It's fun.
Yes. (49) The remembrance of Yoshiyahu is like the composition of a perfume that is made with the skill of the perfumer. It is sweet as honey in all mouths, and as music at a feast of wine. He acted uprightly by instructing the people, and took away the wicked abominations. He directed his heart toward Yahuwah, and in the time of the wicked he established the worship of Elohim. All except David and Hezekiah and Yoshiyahu were wicked, for they forsook the law of the Most High. Even the sovereigns of Yehudah failed. Therefore he gave their strength to others, and their esteem to a foreign nation. They burned the chosen city of the Mikdash, and made the streets desolate, according to the Nebuah of the Yeremiah. For they treated him evilly, who was yet a Nabi, Kadosh in his mother's womb, that he might root out and afflict and destroy, and that he might also build up and plant. It was Yesikel who saw the esteemed vision, which was shown to him upon the chariot of the cherubim. For he remembered the enemies under the sign of rain, and directed those who went rightly. And of the 12 Nabim, let their remembrance be Baruch, and let their bones flourish again out of their place. For they comforted Yaakov and delivered them with true expectancy. How shall we exalt Zerubbabel, even when he was a signet on the right hand? So is Yeshua, son of Yosadak, who in their time built the house and raised a Kodesh Hekel to Yahuwah, which was prepared for everlasting esteem. And among the elect was Nehemiah, whose name is great, who raised up for us walls that had fallen, and put up the gates and the bars, and raised up our ruins again. But no man on the earth was created like Hanok, for he was taken from the earth. Neither was there a young man born like Yosef, a governor over his brothers, a support to the people whose bones were regarded by Yahuwah. Shem and Sheth were in great esteem among men, and so was Adam above every living creature in creation.
Chapter 50. Shimon the high priest, the son of Onyahu, who in his life repaired the house again, and in his days fortified the temple, and by him was built from the foundation the double height, the high fortress of the wall about the temple. In his days a cistern to receive water, being encompassed as the sea, was covered with plates of brass. He took care of the temple, that it should not fall, and fortified the city against besieging. How was he honored in the midst of the people, in his coming out of the sanctuary? He was as the morning star in the midst of a cloud, and as the moon at the full, as the sun shining upon the temple of El Elyon, and as the rainbow giving light in the bright clouds, and as the flower of roses in the spring of the year, as lilies by the rivers of waters, and as the branches of the frankincense tree in the time of summer, as fire and incense in the censer, and as a vessel of beaten gold set with all manner of precious stones, and as a fair olive tree budding forth fruit, and as a cypress tree which grows up to the clouds. When he put on the robe of honor and was clothed with the perfection of glory, when he went up to the holy altar, he made the garment of holiness honorable. When he took the portions out of the priest's hands, he himself stood by the hearth of the altar, compassed about as a young cedar in Lebanon, and as palm trees compassed they him round about. So were all the sons of Aaron in their glory, and the oblations of Yahweh in their hands, before all the assembly of Yasharel, and finishing the service at the altar, that he might adorn the offering of El Elyon, El Shaddai. He stretched out his hand to the cup and poured of the blood of the grape. He poured out at the foot of the altar a sweet-smelling savor unto El Elyon, King of all. Then shouted the sons of Aaron, and sounded the silver trumpets, and made a great noise to be heard, for remembrance before El Elyon. Then all the people together hasted, and fell down to the earth upon their faces to worship their Yahweh Sebaoth El Elyon. The singers also sang praises with their voices. With great variety of sounds was there made sweet melody, and the people besought Yahweh El Elyon by prayer before him that is merciful, till the solemnity of Yahweh was ended, and they had finished his service. Then he went down and lifted up his hands over the whole assembly of the children of Yasharel, and gave them the blessing of Yahweh with his lips, and to rejoice in his name. And they bowed themselves down to worship the second time, that they might receive a blessing from El Elyon. Now therefore bless you the Elohim of all, which only does wondrous things everywhere, which exalts our days from the womb, and deals with us according to his mercy. He grant us joyfulness of heart, and that peace may be in our days in Yasharel forever, that he would confirm his mercy with us and deliver us at his time. There be two manner of nations which my heart abhors, and the third is no nation, they that sit upon the mountain of Shomeron, and they that dwell among the Philistine, and that foolish people that dwell in Shechem. Yahusha the son of Sirach of Jerusalem was written in the Sefer, the instruction of understanding and knowledge, who out of his heart poured forth wisdom. Blessed is he that shall be exercised in these things, and he that lays them up in his heart shall become wise. For if he do them, he shall be strong in all things. For the light of Yahweh leads him, who gives wisdom to the righteous. Blessed be the name of Yahweh forever. Amen. Amen. A prayer of Yahusha, the son of Sirach. Chapter 51. I will thank you, O Yahuwah and King, and praise you, O Elohim, my Savior. I do give praise unto your name. For you are my defender and helper, and have preserved my body from destruction, and from the snare of the slanderous tongue, and from the lips that forget lies, and have been my helper against my adversaries, and have delivered me according to the multitude of your mercies and greatness of your name, from the teeth of them that were ready to devour me, and out of the hands of such as sought after my life, and from the manifold afflictions which I had, from the choking of fire on every side, and from the midst of the fire which I kindled not, from the depth of the belly of Sheol, from an unclean tongue and from lying words, by an accusation to the king from an unrighteous tongue, my soul drew near, even unto death. My life was near to Sheol beneath. They compassed me on every side, and there was no man to help me. I looked for the help of men, but there was none. Then thought I upon your mercy, O Yahuwah, and upon your acts of old, how you deliver such as wait for you, and save them out of the hands of the enemies. Then lifted I up my supplications from the earth, and prayed for deliverance from death. I called upon Yahuwah, the Father of my Adonai, that he would not leave me in the days of my trouble, and in the time of the proud, when there was no help. I will praise your name continually, and will sing praises with thanksgiving. And so my prayer was heard, for you saved me from destruction, and delivered me from the evil time. Therefore will I give thanks and praise you, and bless your name, O Yahuwah. When I was yet young, or ever I went abroad, I desired wisdom openly in my prayer. I prayed for her before the temple, and will seek her out even to the end. Even from the flower till the grape was ripe, has my heart delighted in her. My foot went the right way from my youth. From my youth up sought I after her. If I bowed down my ear a little and received her, and got much learning. I profited therein. Therefore will I ascribe glory unto him that gives me wisdom. For I propose to do after her, and earnestly I follow that which is good. So shall I not be confounded. My soul has wrestled with her, and in my doings I was exact. I stretched forth my hands to the heaven above, and bewailed my ignorances of her. I directed my soul unto her, and I found her in pureness. I have had my heart joined with her from the beginning. Therefore shall I not be forsaken. My heart was troubled in seeking her. Therefore have I gotten a good possession. Yahuwah has given me a tongue for my reward, and I will praise him therewith. Draw near unto me, you unlearned, and dwell in the house of learning. Wherefore are you slow, and what say you to these things? Seeing your souls are very thirsty, I opened my mouth and said, buy her for yourselves without money. Put your neck under the yoke, and let your soul receive instruction. She is hard at hand to find. Behold with your eyes how that I have but little labor, and have gotten unto me much rest. Get learning with a great sum of money, and get much gold by her. Let your soul rejoice in his mercy, and be not ashamed in his praise. Work your work early, and in his time he will give you your reward. That is the book of Sirach. Father Yahuwah, we thank you. We thank you so much for this time that we have had together reading your word, Father. We pray that you would put your word on our hearts more and more, and you would teach us your ways more and more every single day. Father, we bow our hearts to you. We praise you. We lift you up on high. We thank you for your feast days. We thank you for the Feast of Sukkot. We thank you for all your high holy days and your Shabbats. We thank you for every set apart time and every appointment that you have with us. We pray that you would please be with us, that you would send the Ruach Mashiach into our life and lead us with the Ruach HaKodesh. Father, we thank you for everything that you teach us. We pray that you would just have your way with us more and more and more. Make us more like you and your Son each and every single day. We pray that our hearts would grow in love for one another, be there for the brethren, and that we could come together in harmony and love for one another. We thank you, Yahuwah, because we can do nothing without you. We have no movement, we have no speech, we have no strength without you. Thank you for doing all the things that you have done. We praise you in your holy and set-apart name, Yahuwah Sebaot. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed and exalted be your great name, Yahuwah Sebaot, who art the maker of our Yeshua. For your kingdom comes and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our transgressions as we forgive those who have transgressed against us. And lead us not into temptation or the temptation of wickedness or wicked thoughts. Deliver us from evil, from all darkness, and from the grasp of the evil one. For your kingdom comes, your will be done on heaven and as it is on earth. We bless you and we praise you. In Yahushua's name.